Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to one and all who have come from all over Bangalore to attend the second lectures set series on Ramayana organized by the Desikadaya Trust. The first three lectures in March were Putra Kama Ishti, Ramajananam, and Sita Vivaham. Today's topic will be Kaikeyi Yojana, followed by Chitrakuta Gamanam. That will be tomorrow, and Paduka Pattabhishegam on Sunday. The next set of two lectures will take place in the month of November at the very same venue. I'm very happy to announce a mega dance production based on Ramayana to be staged in MLR Convention Center, Whitefield, on 18th of November 2018. Please mark your calendars. It will be a spectacular Bharatnatyam dance performance with artists from Kalakshetra, which will help us relive the entire Ramayana visually. This dance performance will be a ticketed event, and we will be sharing the details very shortly. Hence, please do register yourself with your phone numbers and email IDs. The dance program will be open to children as well. A few words about the trust. Desikadaya Trust is managed by Shri Dushyanth Sridhar, who is engaged in spreading our rich heritage and culture with lectures all over India and abroad. One of the main objectives of the trust is to spread awareness about our Hindu Sanatana Dharma the world over. Other than regular lectures, Shri Dushyanth Sridhar also has his own YouTube channels with rich content related to our spiritual texts, which can be enjoyed in any part of the world. Desikadaya Trust very recently launched its very own app, which has hours of lectures in English, Tamil, and a number of shlokas and hymns. The recording of today's lecture will also be made available on YouTube. Hence, please put your phone on silent mode. Just sit back and enjoy the lectures. I'm very pleased to announce that very recently, Shri Dushyanth Sridhar has authored a wonderful book to mark the 750th year of Shri Vedanta Desikan. The book is a treasure trove of information, and with beautiful illustrations, I am sure will be immensely enjoyed. Most of them have been lapped up by audiences the world over. A very few copies are available for sale at the counter. All proceeds from the sale of the book go towards the trust. You can also order the book on the app. All the good work that you see requires a lot of support from all of you. Desikadaya Trust welcomes voluntary donations and sponsorships to support the noble activities of Hindu Sanatana Dharma. Thank you very much.
Ramanuja Dayapatram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanathāryam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Lakshminatha Samarambham Nathaya Munamadhyamam Asmad Acharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Yo Nityam Achyuta Padambuja Yugmarukma Vyamohata Staditarani Trinayamene Asmad Gurur Bhagavatosya Dayeka Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanau Sharanam Prapadye Mata Pita Yuvatayastanaya Vibhuti Sarvam Yadeva Niyamena Madanvayanam Adyasya Nakulapater Vakulabhiramam Srimattadangri Yugalam Pranamami Murdhana Bhutam Sarascha Mahadahvaya Bhattanatha Shri Bhaktisara Kulashekara Yogi Vahan Bhaktangri Renu Parakala Yatindra Mishran Srimat Parankushamunim Pranatosmi Nityam Kūjantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Valmiki Kokilam Valmikir Munisimhasya Kavita Vanacharinaha Shrinvan Ramakatha Nadam Konayadi Param Gatim Veda Vedye Pare Pumsi Jate Dasharathatmaje Vedav Pracheta Sadasit Sakshad Ramayanatmana Anjananandanam Viram जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्का भयङ्करं मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि आञ्जनेयमदिपाठलाननं काञ्चनाद्रिकमनीयविग्रहं पारिजाततरुमूलवासिनं भावयामि पवमाननन्दनं यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्. A very good evening to the gathering here. With immense pleasure, we will all be witnessing and experiencing the elixir of Srimad Ramayanam from this day. It will be a series of 3 days. As you are all aware that in the month of March, we had the opportunity to experience the succinct summary of Kandam. Though it was Kandam, if you remember day 1 of the first series, it began with some portions of Kandam. Today, in fact from today, for a series of 3 days, we will be witnessing Ayodhya Kandam alone. In Srimad Ramayanam, Valmiki has positioned the shlokas into sargas. So there could be 10, 20, 30 or even 100 shlokas in a sarga. A group of sargas constitute a kandam. So we have 7 kandams in Srimad Ramayanam. A lot of the books that you may possess, a few of the lectures that you may listen to will say that there are only 6, which is Bala, Ayodhya, Aranya, Kishkinda, Sundara, Yuddha. This is what most books, a few of the people who render lectures say. But Valmiki, nor his commentators, nor our authentic preceptors accept this. They say there are 7. The Uttarakandam is also an integral part of Srimad Ramayanam. Only if you put that together, you will have 24,000 verses. Commentators like Govindaraja, who has given a commentary called Bhushana, Tilaka, likewise you have got Maheshwara Tirtha. All these acharyas have said that all the 7 kandams put together is Ramayanam. Now, answering the first scenario, why do people accept only 6th and not the 7th? Because as Indians, even in our movies, we want it to have a good ending. We do not want anything contrary. This is how our film industry is also positioned. Sadly, all our acharyas don't write movies or they don't write novels. They present the facts as it is. If this is what is Rama's life, they present it the way. Whether we like it or not is a different thing. I may not like somebody else's life, but that doesn't mean I have the authority or freedom to change that person's life. So, Uttarakandam is also an integral part of Srimad Ramayanam. Now, coming to the kandams in itself, all kandams are not equally distributed. For instance, Sundara Kandam is one of the very shortest kandams in Srimad Ramayanam, but it has got the highest prominence. You might have never heard a person say that I do Balakanda Parayanam, Yuddha Kanda Parayanam and so on. But you will hear a lot of people say that I am doing Sundara Kanda Parayanam because that has a lot of morals in it. It is a motivation lecture in itself. We will deal with Sundara Kandam when it comes in 2019. Now in 2018, we need to experience the Kandams as it is. Why I mentioned this is Balakandam talks about what happened before the birth of Rama, what incidents led to the birth of Rama, what description has Valmiki given to the birth of Rama, how did he spend his childhood, how did he spend his boyhood, how did he turn into an adolescent, how he married Sita. So, pre-Rama, till Rama's marriage to Sita and his life with Sita for 12 full years in Ayodhya. So, 0 to 24 years is described in Balakandam. So, Balakandam has close to 2600 shlokas. So, for 24 years of Rama, Valmiki dedicates 2600 shlokas. But Ayodhya Kandam, which is the second Kandam, deals with what Dasharatha wanted to do with Rama, what plan did he have, how the plan changed, and how Rama went to the forest. This particular lesson that we deal in Ayodhya Kandam is described in 7000 shlokas. So, for 24 years it is 2600 verses. Incidents that happened in 1 week, we have 7000 shlokas. Because Ayodhya Kandam is the epitome of expression and emotion. Everybody will be at the peak of their emotion. And in fact, the first shlokam that we will deal with Ayodhya Kandam will come after a few minutes, which is Gacchata Matulakulam Bharatena Tata Anagha Shatrughnaha Nitya Shatrughnaha Nitaf Preeti Puraskritaha. This is the first shlokam of Ayodhya Kandam, which we will deal slightly later. Why? Because as it is a habit which is said of Rama, Shatrum Seshayam Na Seshayet. Shastram tells that if you have some enemies, you try to make them friends, but despite that, all your efforts, if that person chooses to be your enemy, you should not let the enemy survive, it seems. When I say survive, it doesn't mean you have to kill. You have to avoid that person completely in such a way that, in English we use this expression often, he looked through me. When you don't like a person, you will act as if you are never seeing that person. So, this is what Shastram tells. Like how it says, Jalam Seshayam Na Seshayet. You should never keep any water remaining from the glass that you consume. So, you have to drink that water completely. But Rama had this habit, you cannot call it a bad habit, but had this often repeated habit, which is, he will leave things in balance. Sesham in Sanskrit means you have to leave something in balance. Whatever you leave on your leaf is called Bhojana Sesham. You leave something on your leaf. Likewise, we are speaking about Rama. So we should also have this habit. That is why I have left some Sesham in the first set of lectures. What is the Sesham that we had left? We wanted the first set of lectures to conclude on a good note. So we concluded it with Sita's marriage to Rama. Sita Vivaham is what we concluded with. But there is one small portion left in Balakandam where Parashurama comes and opposes Rama. So that portion is left in Balakandam. After we are done with that, we will go to Ayodhya Kandam. Here, it is a beautiful expression which Dasharatha uses. As soon as the marriage is over, Rama with Sita, Sita's sister Urmila with Lakshmana, Janaka, Siradhwaja's brothers' daughters who were Mandavi and Shrutakirti with Bharata and Shatrughna respectively. As soon as the marriage happened, they had to leave Janakapuri. Today you have one beautiful small town in Nepal called as Janakpur. That is believed to be the place where Sita's Vivaham happened. So after that they had to cross the border of Nepal, come to Uttar Pradesh, which is Ayodhya. Before they could start, they noticed a Shakunam and a Nimittam. Did I speak about Shakunam and Nimittam the last time? Okay. Either you may be saying no because I would have not spoken, or the general habit of lectures is to forget. Okay. In whichever case, it is my duty to repeat it again. No problem. Shaku in Sanskritam means bird. Shuka means parrot. We should not confuse. Mamava Shiva Panjara Shuki Pankaja Mukhi Guru Guharanjani Durita Bhanjani Niranjani Kanjadalayataakshi. That is Panjara Shuki. Shuka is parrot. He was called as the son of Vedavyasa. His name was Shuka Brahmam or Shuka Maharishi. in most of the temples related to Swami Venkateshwara, you will see the rishi with a parrot head. Have you noticed that? Because Shuka in Sanskrit means parrot. But essentially it doesn't mean you have to put a parrot's head. Shuka in Sanskrit means parrot. A parrot's habit is always to repeat what we do. If we state, in Srirangam there used to exist a mandapam called as Kili Mandapam, where there will be a Kili. If you say Ranga, that will repeat and say Ranga Ranga. So that has the habit of repeating. So as a student to our teachers, we are duty bound to repeat what our teachers say. Vedavyasa was the father as well as the preceptor to Shuka Brahmam. Since he repeated what his father said, he was called Shuka Brahmam, and we don't have to put a parrot's head there. Somehow with sculptures, in those days, Rajas used to put the sculptors with learned people and ask them to learn from them how to put those sculptures in the right form. But today in temples, people don't even consult scholars how to put. So they just think Shuka in dictionary means parrot. Shuka Brahmam must have a parrot head. So this is the general definition that we get into. The problem comes when you take your grandchildren there and the child will ask, how can the parrot's DNA and the human DNA get together? Then we will have a confusion. So to get rid of this confusion, it is very important that temples stay in touch with scholars. Now, coming back to the parrot, which is Shuka. If you make it Shaku, it is a common noun, which is a bird. Menaka and Vishwamitra Maharshi produced a girl. She was left as an orphan. She was orphaned. That time, to protect her from the rains, the peacocks and the other birds provided her shade. Since the birds protected her, she was called Shakuntala. Shaku in Sanskrit means bird. If we derive the outcome of our futuristic events based on the movement of the birds, that science of deriving it is called as Shakunam. Shakunam is how we derive the outcome of our futuristic events. I am leaving from my house. A crow is flying from right to left. So that means the lecture that I will listen today will not be that interesting. On the contrary, if it is left to right, it will be very interesting. So this is how people will derive. So movement of birds is what is called as Shakuna Shastram. Now, if a cat goes, cat does not belong to the Shaku category, then what will we do? It is called as Nimittam. Remember this. The great sage of Kanchi, Paramacharya, used to state the difference between Shakunam and Nimittam in a very interesting fashion in his own way. I may not be able to mimic the great Mahan, but this is what he has said. So anything which is not Shakunam is Nimittam. Now Dasharatha, while he left Janakapuram, he saw two. One was a Shakunam and the other was a Nimittam. He sees birds screaming. Birds screaming. The moment he started from the house, the bird screamed. So that was a Shakunam. Then he saw the deer going from left to right. So these are, one is a Shakunam and the other one is a Nimittam. He immediately asked his Purohita, who was Vasishta. Vasishta was all-in-one for Ayodhya. He was the one who will fix the dates for the marriage. He will be the teacher to the princess. So he was one of the greatest rishis the world could have ever seen. So Vasishta tells, do not worry Dasharatha. Since we have left, we have heard the bird scream. So I am very sure there is a bad omen for you. In a few more minutes from now, you will witness that bad omen. But don't worry, since you have seen the deer go from left to right, whatever bad omen comes to you will last only for a few seconds, because the deer's movement indicates that your obstacle will go in a few minutes from now. So it was both a sign of worry as well as something to relax upon. That is when Vasishta completed, Parashurama comes inside the scene. So Parashurama coming with anger is what is described by Valmiki. Dadarsha Bhima Sankasham Jata Mandala Dharinam Bhargavam Jamadagnyeyam Raja Rajamimardanam Kailasamiva Durdharsham Kalagnim Iva Dussaham. Wherever Parshurama goes, he will go with loads of anger in him. So he had a bow in his hand, a quiver of arrows. He came with loads of anger and stood there as a personification of all wrath in this world. So at that point in time, Dasharatha knew that something had kindled the anger of Parashurama. Then he thought it must have been the act of Rama breaking the bow. Rama getting married to Sita would have not caused anger to him. The presence of Dasharatha would have not caused anger to him. So he immediately performed Sharanagati at the feet of Parashurama. If you remember the first set of lectures, I made a very strong point. Vedanta Deshika states that Sharanagati Vedam is Ramayanam. Ramayana's other name is Sharanagati Vedam, because the skeleton of Ramayana is the unconditional surrender or Sharanagati which various people offer at different points in time. Whether they are successful or not makes the difference. So the skeleton is Sharanagati. It is covered with lots of anecdotes and lots of history. So the Sharanagati Vedam is Ramayanam. Here in Ramayanam, which is the Sharanagati Vedam, the first Sharanagati that we witnessed was when Devas performed Sharanagati, the celestials performed Sharanagati at the feet of the Lord in Ramayanam at the start in Kshirabdi, telling, "O Lord, the demons are troubling us, they are causing so much of pain and inflicting pain upon the citizens, we request you to be born on this earth." That is when the Lord tells, "Abhayam sarvabhutebhyaha," do not worry, I will be born as Rama. So that is the first Sharanagati. That was a successful Sharanagati. Second Sharanagati, if you remember, I spoke about one boy called as Shunakshepa. He came in the history of Vishwamitra, where he performed Sharanagati at the feet of two deities who belong to the Rigvedic period. Then he was offered asylum. That is the second Sharanagati. The third Sharanagati is the Sharanagati which Dasharatha performs at the feet of Parashurama to tell him, "Please do not inflict any pain upon my dear son Rama." Let us look at the shlokam and let us see what happens to the Sharanagati. Balanam mama putranam abhayam datum arhasi na chaikasmin hate rame sarve jiva mahe vayam. Sarve jiva mahe vayam. My dear son Rama is the apple to my eye. Please do not cause any harm to him. This is what Dasharatha tells Parashurama. But Parashurama turns a deaf ear. He does not listen to what Dasharatha tells. Why? Because Sharanagati is the act of performing unconditional surrender. But it should be performed to the right person. I cannot go to a person who is planting bombs everywhere and I fall at his feet and tell, "Please do not plant bombs. The next planting will be done in me." So, Sharanagati needs to be performed to the right person at the right time in the right way. Though it was the right time and in the right way, it was not performed to the right person. Now comes another question. Sir, if you are telling that Parashurama is not the right person to whom Sharanagati is to be performed, how do we include him in Dashavataram? Correct? 1. How can two avatarams coexist? How can Rama win over Parashurama? All these questions I will be answering today, but let us see what happens to the Sharanagati now. It was not accepted. Then Rama comes forward and tells, "My dear father, I know that you have great concerns for me and love for me. I will deal with Parashurama myself." He said, "Parashurama, I pay my obeisances to your lotus-like feet. Please tell me what I should be doing now." Parashurama said, "You handled a bow of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva and Vishnu apparently happened to have a yuddham, which is what Balakandam tells. And when the Lord Vishnu, he did a humkaram. Humkaram is, you must have seen a lot of wrestlers, where before they get inside the field, they'll say hum, hum. This is called humkaram in Sanskrit. So when the Lord did Humkaram, it is said, Balakandam states, that Lord Shiva's bow developed a crack. So that was given to the museum. The museum personnel did not have the ability to maintain that Shiva's bow. He gave it to the ancestors of Janaka, which finally came to Janaka, and this was made as a Veera Shulkam for the groom whoever marries Sita. So Rama handled Shiva's bow. Parashurama tells Rama, it is said that you broke Shiva's bow. That is not great, because that bow already had a crack. Now I have Vishnu's bow in my hand. If you handle this, then I agree that you are one of the greatest warriors in this world. Rama said, okay, I will surely handle this bow. But you need to tell me a destination. For example, a person has to shoot an arrow. He will ask, where should I shoot? If you remember Mahabharatam, when there was a test given to the Kauravas and Pandavas, Dronacharya said, do you look at the bird in the branch of the tree? So somewhere I have to fix a destination. I cannot tell shoot anywhere. So likewise, here Rama asked, what is the destination? Parashurama said, you tell me what destination I should give. That is when Rama said, please give me the aggregation of all the punyam that you have gathered through your penances. It is the punyam that you have gathered through your penances which is causing that ego and that ahankaram in you, Parashurama. Make that as my destination. Parashurama thought Rama will never win, and he said, I grant. This is what is said. Rishayo Rama Rameti Madhuram Vakyam Abruvan Tadidam Ghora Sankasham Jamadagyam Mahadhanuhu Purayam Swa Sharenaiva Swabalam Darshayasvacha Dvandva Yuddham Pradasyami Virya Shlagyamaham Tava. So Rama said, I agree. Now give me your bow. That was a Vishnu Dhanus. So it's called Vaishnavam. So Padma Puranam tells, when the Lord, who is the son of Dasharatha now, accepted the bow from Parashurama, he took away the energy of Parashurama along with it. Tells Padma Puranam, Ityuktva Devi Vaishnavya Shaktya Tadgataya Saha Jagraha Vaishnavam Chapam Vinayena Chalilaya. So Rama took the bow. Sir, taking the bow, is it so difficult? See, even I had this doubt. Well, I used to act in dramas. In Bangalore, there is one place, I don't know if it exists now. There used to be one place called Prabhat near Sajjan Rao Circle, where we will go and take all those crown, gada and everything on rent. So those bows used to be made of thermocol. So even if you give to a toddler, they can accept. But handling a bow is very tough, because bows are generally one-shaped. It will not be bent like this, like how we see in most pictures. It will be one long string of iron, and they will give you the string together. You will have to bend that iron and tie that string to the top. This is it's an arduous task, which most warriors found it tough. So they will take that string, tie it, and then go to the war field. Arjuna was one of the very rare warriors who could tie the string on the battleground itself, and he could shoot from both his hands. So he used to use 2 arrows simultaneously. Since he had the ability to use both his hands, he was called Savyasachi. Savyasachi in Sanskrit means one who is ambidextrous in archery. So you can use both. I think it was in Bombay, I was delivering this lecture. One person came and corrected me. He said it is Sabyasachi. In Sanskritam, it is Savyasachi. Vakaram becomes Bakaram in the east of India. So Savyasachi becomes Sabyasachi. The Sabyasachi that we know doesn't shoot, he only designs. But in Arjuna's time, Arjuna was a Savyasachi who could shoot. Here Rama accepted the bow. While he accepted the bow, it is said in Padma Puranam that the energy came along. Now, since Rama accepted the bow and tied the string, that very moment Parashurama came to a conclusion that all his penances have been won by Rama. Now this is where it ends. Let us see what happens to it later. Now let us come to the avatarams. The word avataram in Sanskrit means coming from the top. Anything that comes from the top to bottom is called avataram. The reverse process is bhavataram. In chemical reactions, most reactions will be reactants to products. But there are certain reactions where if you don't change the conditions, then the products will turn into reactants again. It is called as reversible reaction. Likewise, here we have avataram, which is top to bottom. From bottom to top, it is called bhavataram. Avataram can be applied only to the one who is never born. We are not avatarams, because avataram means the one person who chooses to come from top to bottom. We never chose. We are never given a choice. Whether we like it or not, we have to live here. So this is janmam for us. Whereas for the Lord, that janmam is called as avataram. You never say Krishna Rama janmam, Krishna janmam. Though the day is called Rama jananam, the proper word is Rama avataram, Krishna avataram, because he chooses. Arjuna sits in front of Krishna. Krishna tells both of us look the same, but there is a major difference. Arjuna asks, what is the difference? Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tavacha Arjuna. Hey Arjuna, both of us have a similarity that we have taken many births together. But the difference is, I can remember all my past births, whereas you can remember none of it. The reason is, my janmam is called avataram. That is why in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we call it as avatara rahasyam. There are 4 to 5 shlokas which is called avatara rahasyam in Bhagavad Gita. So this process of being born from, coming from the top to bottom is called avataram. Now, there is one famous Tamil lyricist in Tamil Nadu who was caught up in some controversy a few months back. He asked, when you say avataram means jumping from top to bottom, we have references in Ramayanam which state that the Lord was housed in the uterus of Kaushalya. Rama did not jump from Vaikuntham, he stayed in Kaushalya's womb. So how do you say that he is an avataram? If he is an avataram, he should have jumped directly from heaven to Ayodhya. He cannot stay inside the womb of Kaushalya. If he has managed to stay inside the womb of Kaushalya, then how can you call him avataram? So they are very good speakers. In Tamil Nadu, if you go, very excellent speakers. My lectures are nothing in front of them. But the beauty is, applying logic to what we speak is the art of a speaker. Poets have the general tendency to exaggerate things. If you don't exaggerate, you can never be a poet. You can only be a logician. See, if a person walks, I ask, what are you looking at? That person is walking. Then I'm a logician. When will I become a poet? That person with the gait of a swan is walking in the scorching rays of the sun, but when the feet touch upon this earth, that grass turns into every petal of the lotus. So this is what makes me a poet. So in poetry, I have to exaggerate. That's the license given to me. So if I say that somebody is looking like a pumpkin, what I imply is that person has adopted the obesity of that pumpkin. If pumpkin seems bloated, that person is also bloated. The moment I say that he looks like a pumpkin, the next day I cannot use that person in cooking. This is an important aspect of Tarka Shastram. Tarkam tells, when we make similes or metaphors, we should stop at a certain point. We cannot bring or extrapolate that to our reality or realistic life. When I say that the crane looks milk white, tomorrow while making coffee, I cannot use that crane. So what I imply is it is white. The whiteness is what that simile conveys, nothing more. So when I say that avataram is the process of the Lord coming from top to bottom, it doesn't mean literally jumping. That person who is never bound by karma, that person who doesn't have the compulsion to be born, that person who is not bound by any of the miseries that we undergo in this mundane world, has chosen to be born for the sake of us. So for the sake of us, when he comes, he also undergoes a similar process of gestation like what we undergo. So the process is the same like us, But the point is, he was not forced to or coaxed to. He came on his own. So avataram literally means jumping from top to bottom. But the real purport of that meaning of avataram means that for the sake of us, he is also born from the womb of a mother. So we should not take it in a realistic means. Now, coming to the process of avataram, I did describe avataram in general terms. Avataram, as per Yatindra Mata Deepika, which has been taken from Itihasa Samuchayam, is divided into two. Mukhya avataram and Aveshya avataram. Mukhya avataram is when the Lord is born as himself. There is no difference between Rama and the Supreme Personality of God himself. There is no difference between Krishna and the Supreme Personal himself. He is born as is. That is Mukhya avataram. In other terms, we call it as Purna avataram. Mukhya avataram or Purna avataram. The other category is Aveshya avataram. That Aveshya avataram is divided into two. Swarupa Aveshya avataram, Shakti Aveshya avataram. Now, the Lord chooses to be born himself, that is Purna avataram. The Lord chooses to be born himself is also Swarupa Aveshya avataram. But the point is, in Swarupa Aveshya avataram, amongst the innumerable auspicious attributes or qualities that he possesses, he will choose to exemplify or showcase only one, not all of them. If one person has one emotion as the highest and the other emotions as negligible, then that person's survival becomes very tough. Anger is also one of the good qualities of the Lord. Rama also had opportunities where he got angry. In Yuddha Kandam, when he had to construct the Setu, he does Prayopavesham, 3 days fast. In Delhi also one person is doing. Here also Rama was doing. But in those days, if you do it for legitimate reasons only, the other person will answer. So here we had Samudra Raja who had to answer at the end of 3 days. But he doesn't come out. So when Rama comes to know that Samudra Raja does not heed to his prayers, he gets angry. Raktankalochanaha tells Valmiki, his eyes turned red. So Rama also had anger, but the beauty was he knew how to control his anger. So that is why Andal, if you remember the verses of Tirupavai, she states, Shinattinal Tennilangai Komanai Chetra Manathikiniyan. Sinattinal, Sinam in Tamil means anger. So she tells, I love one person who got angry at the right time. So this anger what Rama got was adored and loved by Andal. So Rama was also a person who had anger, but he had it in the right proportion. Whereas Parashurama was a Swarupa Aveshya avataram, where his anger went to such a level that all the other qualities became negligible. In such a case, that Aveshya avataram has to be won over by a Purna avataram. One. Now I have to go to the next avataram, which is Shakti Aveshya avataram. In Shakti Aveshya avataram, the Lord is not born completely. He chooses a Jivatma, and to that chosen Jivatma, he injects one of his divine qualities. That is called as Shakti Aveshya avataram. He is not born. Give me an example, sir, of Shakti Aveshya avataram. It was Kartavirya Arjuna. If you go to Sringeri temple, there are two. One for Sharadamba. The other one is where the Acharyas, two of the Acharyas were done a Jiva Samadhi there. So that is a beautiful piece of architecture. The beauty of that architecture is, if you go around that temple, there is one place where people congregate. That is where Kartavirya Arjuna's sculpture is there. Why do they congregate? Because it is believed that if you pray to Kartavirya Arjuna, you will get your lost things. If you lose something, you will get back from Kartavirya Arjuna. I don't know whether it has been approved in Shastram. There is no place in Shastram where he gives back lost things. He himself was lost at one point in time. Anyways, Kartavirya Arjuna was called Sahasrabahu Arjuna. He had 1,000 hands. This is what Puranams tell. This Kartavirya Arjuna was a Shakti Aveshya avataram of the Lord. It means that the Lord was not born as him. The Lord chose a Jivatma and injected one or two of his powers in him. So he was very strong. So Sahasrakshaha Sahasrapat tells Purusha Suktam. So he also had 1,000 hands. He lived on the banks of river Narmada. It is believed that Ravana once went to perform Sandhyavandhanam. So he took little waters from Narmada because it was barren. There was no water in Narmada. So he took whatever little water and was performing Sandhyavandanam, but was oblivious of the fact that Narmada had great waters, but it had been blocked by the 1,000 hands of Kartyavirya-Arjuna. What Kartyavirya-Arjuna did? He took away all his 1,000 hands at one go. So Ravana was washed away in the floods. So that very moment, Ravana said, Kartyavirya-Arjuna, if you have done this to me, I want to fight with you. So Kartyavirya-Arjuna and Ravana had a terrible fight. After the terrific fight, what happened? Kartyavirya-Arjuna took Ravana, who was a 10-headed demon king, like an elephant that plucks the lotus flower from a pond, took all the way to his kingdom and fixed it at the top of the small cradle that he had for his child. Because in cradles you generally see there is a circular object that keeps going on at the top, right? So in most cars you will see Hanuman in a flying condition. Likewise, here Ravana was positioned that way. So this is mentioned in the Puranam. So Kartyavirya-Arjuna was so strong that he could imprison Ravana himself. But this Kartyavirya-Arjuna was the cause of the death of Jamadagni. Jamadagni was the father of Parashurama. So Parashurama, when he got to know that Kartyavirya-Arjuna killed his father, Parashurama went and killed Kartyavirya-Arjuna. So Parashurama won over Kartyavirya-Arjuna. When Parashurama came with his bow and stood in front of Rama, Rama did not literally kill him, but literally won over his powers. So a Purnavataram or a Mukhyavataram Ramachandra won over Swarupa Aveshyavataram called Parashurama. Parashurama, who was a Swarupa Aveshyavataram, won over the Shakti Aveshyavataram called as Kartyavirya-Arjuna. Kartyavirya-Arjuna won over Ravana. So does it mean that Rama has won over Ravana? Correct? If you keep Ravana as D, Kartyavirya-Arjuna as C, Parashurama as B, and Rama as A. So A is greater than B, greater than C, greater than D. A is greater than D. So when Rama won over Parashurama, Vedanta Deshika states in Raghuvira Gadyam that Ravana has been simply won over. How does he state this? In a very simple form. Kratuhara Shikhari Kantuka Vihrutyunmuka Jagadi Runtuta Jitahari Danti Danta Dantura Damana Kushala Dasha Shata Bhujamuka Nripatikula Rudira Jara Bharita Prututara Tataka Tarpita Pitrika Bhrugupati Sugati Vihati Kara Nata Parudishu Pariga. Whatever we have mentioned from A to D has been mentioned by him in very simple words. Now, Parashurama now said, Rama, you can do whatever you want with me. That is when Rama tells, Boodalattu Arashayallam, Kamban tells in Kamba Ramayanam, Boodalattu Arashayallam Kondruvittanai, Endralum Vedavittagiya Melon Maindanni, Adalal Ninnai Kollalagadu, Idarku Ilakkam Avadi Yambudi Viraiven Endran. Amongst the languages of India, we have many languages, thousands of dialects. One of the most authentic and ancient languages is Sanskritam. Alongside, we should all be proud that South India has given Tamil. Because Tamil is also one of the oldest languages, may not be as old as Sanskritam, but has many references in Puranams. When we deal with Sundara Kandam, I'll tell you how Hanuman spoke Tamil. In Valmiki Ramayanam, it is said, Hanuman spoke Tamil. Let us deal with that separately. That will come only in 2019. You have to wait till then. Madhura Bhasha is a beautiful line. Now, Kamba Ramayanam is one of the earliest regional language based Ramayanam that we have in India. We have Ranganatha Ramayanamu in Telugu. We have Kannada Ramayanam. We have Krittivasa's Ramayanam. We have Bhanubhaktacharya's Nepali Ramayanam. We have Tunjattu Ramanuja Eluttachan's Adhyatma Ramayanam in Malayalam. We have Kalidasa's Raghuvamsham. Probably except Kalidasa's, every other Ramayanam came many centuries after Kamba Ramayanam. But you will be surprised. Kamba Ramayanam, which is an exposition of Ramayanam in Tamil, was not accepted by the Tamil people for a very long time when Kamban lived. When he had to give lectures and discourses on Kamba Ramayanam, Kamban himself had to give to prove that his Ramayanam was good in Srirangam. The citizens of Srirangam said, see, finally we will tell that your Ramayanam is good because you are a great devotee of Ramachandra. Ramachandra has worshipped Ranganatha. So we are all in Srirangam. Finally we have to agree and say your Ramayanam is good. But we will all agree only if the Dikshitas of Chidambaram agree. Because Chidambaram has both. It has got Lord Nataraja, it has got Lord Govindaraja. If you stand in one place, you can see Lord Shiva and Vishnu from the same place. So he said you have to go there because it is believed there are 3000 Dikshitas family. All the 3000 have to sign. It is like telling Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha both have to come to a consensus. Then only we will agree your Ramayanam is good. Kamban carried all the manuscripts of 10,348 Tamil verses of Kamba Ramayanam all the way from Srirangam to Chidambaram. So he went and asked one of the Dikshitas, sir, when will you all get together? He said, in our history we have never got 3,000 people together. Kamban said, see, I have come to get approval for Kamba Ramayanam, my Ramayanam. First of all, we will never get together, and if it is Ramayana, we will never give approval. So Kamban was so worried where to get these people. So he prayed, Lord Shiva, you have to show me the way. The next morning at 4 a.m., he was woken up by Lord Nataraja. Nataraja said, go to the graveyard immediately. Early morning, why should I go to the graveyard? Anyways, he said, if Lord Shiva has said, I have to follow. He went to the graveyard. All the 3,000 people were there. Because one of the persons who had, at a very young age had lost life, and that person was to be cremated. So all the 3,000 people had come. So this Dikshita whom Kamban met in the morning, he saw Kamban and asked, why did you come? No, I have come with my Ramayanam so that I can show it to you. Is this the place where you can show? If you have the ability, then ensure that this person who is dead had a snake bite. And all the Panditas in our kingdom said you can never bring him back to life. We can see some pulse going, but he is mostly dead. So we thought we will wait for some time. As soon as he is dead, we will cremate him. So Kamban said, I will read 2 verses from my Kamba Ramayanam in Nagapasha Padam, where Garuda comes and saves Rama from the fangs of the virulent poison holding snake. He reads and Garuda comes, the snake comes, and snake ensures that this boy comes back to life. So the 3,000 Dikshitas have agreed Kamba Ramayanam. So if I am reading a verse from Kamba Ramayanam, it has got great authenticity to it. Boodalattu arashayallam kundruvittanai ayinum vedavittagiya velon maindanni. Rama tells Parashurama, I know that your father Jamadagni was a noble soul. He was killed by Kartyavirya Arjuna in the most unethical way. But you know what you did? Because of the uncontrollable anger that you had, you started killing not only Kartyavirya Arjuna, but 21 generations of all Kshatriya kings. When you have shown anger at the wrong place, see, love and anger need to be shown at the right place. In Gitartha Sangraham, Yamunacharya states, Asthana Sneha Karunyam. Asthana Sneha Karunyam. If you show love, Asthanam, at the wrong place, this will what happen. Why? Because Arjuna, all these days he was telling, let us wait for the Mahabharata Yuddham. You see what I am going to do. So people thought he will show all his valor on the battlefield. As soon as he came to the battlefield, he said, Krishna, he is my grandfather, he is my grandfather's brother, my cousin's brother, my sister's husband. Krishna said, all these days they were the same position. They were grandfather's brother. At that point in time, you never questioned. Now coming to the battlefield, you are telling he is my grandfather and grandfather's brother. Don't show anger and love at the wrong place, Arjuna. Asthana sneha karunyam. So Rama tells Parashurama, Hey Parashurama, you killed so many kings. You have done a wrong deed. Aginum Vedavittagiya Melon Mindanni, but still you are the son of a noble soul called the Jamadagni. Hence I am leaving you. Leave and go to the forest. Now comes another question. I will add that question also. Parashurama is the son of Jamadagni. He is the Swarupa Aveshya Avataram of the Lord. He is the one who met Rama as per Balakandam. Agreed, sir. But is it the same Parashurama who teaches Karna in Mahabharatam? Could Parashurama have survived for so many years? There are two theories in this. Theories are, the same name could have been adopted by some other Rishi. Because we have so many Sitas in our Puranam. Sita is the daughter of Janaka, the wife of Rama. We also have a Sita in Rigvedam, which talks about how she was the daughter of Brahma and was given in marriage to Soma, who is Chandradeva. From that anecdote of Rigvedam only, you have the concept of taking balls of rice and putting it around the young couples in the marriage morning. If you see, they take rice balls, right? That has got to do with Sita's Aitihyam in Rigvedam. So we have so many Sita, so many Taras. Tara is the wife of Vali. Tara is also the wife of Brihaspati. So we have many Taras. So there could have been another Parashurama, that is Parashurama 1, Parashurama 2. The other thing is, people say that the yugas that we speak about need not have to be taken in exact terms. We say 4,32,000 years is Kali Yugam, 8,64,000 is Dwaparam. Likewise, 12,96,000 or something is Treta. So if something has happened in Treta Yugam, which is Rama Avataram, and then coming to Dwapara Yugam, so a person could have not survived for 4,32,000 years, like a person like Parashurama. So we need to understand that in certain cases, we take that 1 year of a person is equal to 100 years of a normal person. See, if you see a lot of the dogs, they will not survive for 50 to 100 years. So if you see a dog which is of 12 years of age, the person who has got knowledge about domestic animals will treat that 12-year-old dog like his grandfather. He will not tax that dog too much, because by 12 years the dog sulks like the 96-year-old man. So 1 year of a dog will be equal to 10 years of human life. Likewise, in those days, 43.2 years could have been exaggerated as 4,32,000 years. If we go by that theory, then Parashurama could have survived. So we have got two theories. Which of these two is correct? Whichever appeals to you, you can take that theory. Now, Parashurama, he was won over by Rama. He tells Rama, I am very happy that I have lost in front of you because you are the person of this millennium. And he goes away. Now, after this, we need to observe that Rama and Sita come to Ayodhya. Now, Rama is at the age of 12. Sita is at the age of 6. They lived happily in Ayodhya for another set of 12 years. How did they live? They mention Sita's qualities. Tasya bhuyo viseshena maithili janakatmaja devata bhisama rupe Sita shririva rupini. People started thinking that she was exactly the personification of goddess Mahalakshmi herself. When Rama was coming with Sita to the city of Ayodhya, the citizens of Ayodhya told Sita, Nambiyai kana nangaikku aayiram nayanam vendum. Hey Sita, to look at Rama, you need 1,000 eyes. What it implies is, Nambiyai kana nangaikku aayiram nayanam vendum. Implies that my Rama is so beautiful. The citizen, that great head of Ayodhya, whose Rama that we have produced is so great, Sita. If you have to look at him, you need 1,000 eyes. Implying that to observe and relish his auspicious attributes, you need 1,000 eyes, which means you have to be a fan and a follower of Rama throughout your life to experience Rama. The citizens of Nepal did not leave. It seems they said, to look at Rama, you need 1,000 eyes for once. But for every time you need to look at Sita, you need 1,000 eyes. So once in your lifetime, we will acquire 1,000 eyes to see Rama. But every time Rama has to see Sita, he needs 1,000. Because Sita will exhibit so many auspicious qualities every minute that you need so many eyes. Implying that they were such an ideal couple. So Ramayanam Balakandam comes to that beautiful close. Now we are going to get inside Ayodhya Kandam. So by this itself, 1 hour is done. So because some were telling that in the Deshika Daya app, it was mentioned as 6 p.m. and not 5 p.m. So some may come late, they said. So sincere apologies for mentioning it as 6 p.m. It was 5 p.m. only. So even if they come now, they are not missing Ayodhya Kandam, because Bala Kandam is only over till now. So Ayodhya Kandam will begin only from now. So in Ayodhya Kandam, it starts with a very interesting shloka. This shloka comes from Raghuvamsham, Kalidasa's Raghuvamsham. Dasharatha was such a great king that he had time for himself, implying that he had ensured that there was justice meted to all classes of his society. Despite that, he had launched so many schemes and so many programs. He ensured a smooth functioning and execution of all the programs. One day, he came and stood in front of his huge mirror. He started combing his hair. At that point in time, he noticed one strand of grey hair. See, after having produced 4 sons, 1 daughter, getting her married, she having children, he is having 1 strand of grey hair. And that 1 strand of grey hair came near his ear, it seems, because in Rajas, the concept of Rajas in those days was they can grow hair till here. They can have hair here as well. They can develop a beard as well. Whereas for a person who recites Vedam, there should be no side locks. It has to start from here. That is why if you have to go in the early morning seva of Tirumala, you should not have side locks. Whereas for a king, he is allowed. So that is why if you remember in Balakandam, every time I am telling you, if you remember, nobody is giving any acknowledgement. I remember having said, when Vishwamitra comes and asks Dasharatha, give me your son Rama, he tells, Kakapaksha dharam veeram. Kakapaksham in Sanskritam means the one who combs his hair where certain strand of or locks of his hair come near his temple, because in those days it was a fashion. You should not pull your hair. It should come automatically. If it comes like the shampoo advertisement in Sanskritam, it is called Kakapaksham. So Rama was such a big fashionista in those days. So Dasharatha was the father of Rama. He had to prove to the world that he is the father of Rama. Even he had to be a great fashion king. So while he was combing his hair, Kalidasa tells that there was 1 strand of grey hair which came near his ear. Why? Because the strand of grey hair wanted to give some advice to Dasharatha. If you want to advise somebody, you should not do that in public. If you want to tell your child something, why did you tell before him? The child will ask. So you have to call the child in privacy, close the door and request him, can I want to tell you something? Do you have the ability to listen? If you do that, because the strand of grey hair did that, it seems. Kalidasa tells, Tam karnamoolamagatya ramer shrirnyasyatamiti. Look at Sanskritam. If you split it, you can understand it yourself. Tam, something. We have to understand what that something is. Tam karnamoolam. Karnamoolam means corner of the ear. Agatya, it came by itself. Ramer shrirnyasyatam iti. What did it say? Give this kingdom to Rama. This is the right time to give it to Rama. Ramer shrirnyasyatam iti. What did Dasharatha do? That is where Kalidasa stands as one of the tallest poets in this world. The next line he tells, Kaikeyi shankayevaha parichatchadmanajara. It seems, you know what struck? See, for example, in a house, they have a girl or a boy for marriage. They are finding the prospect bride or groom. They finally found one person. You know what is the next worry that will come to their mind? What is the worry? So, marriage has got fixed. The groom or the bride has been found. What comes to your mind immediately? Huh? Horoscope has also matched. Finally, it is one of the rarest arranged marriages. Boy should like the girl. Boy also likes the girl. The girl also likes the boy. Marriage hall. Correct. See. So if a marriage is fixed, you want to spot the hall next. See, you will not be bothered whether my son's qualities have been liked by the girl or not, whether both of them would like to go to Viredi wedding. You will not have all those thoughts. The next thought is marriage hall is available or not. You know what thought struck Dasharatha? As soon as the single strand of grey hair said, give this kingdom to Rama, Kaikeyi Shankayevaha, what will I do with this Kaikeyi then? Parichat Chadmana Jara, I am already old, how will I manage that lady? Why I am telling you this is, as we unfold events in Ayodhya Kandam today, tomorrow and the day after, a lot of you will come with the question. Kaikeyi loved Rama, she is also a woman, she also has a heart. You are trying to demonize Kaikeyi. I have read in one of the daily magazines that Kaikeyi looked at Rama's horoscope and knew it prior itself that he will have Brahmahatya Papam, so sent him to 14 years of forest before. All these questions I will be bombarded with. But remember that Valmiki has not given so much of good character to Kaikeyi. Be it the husband or the son Bharata, they know about Kaikeyi's attributes from the first itself. Of course, she had great love for Rama, that is not to be questioned. But she was a very short-tempered, self-centered, prestige-conscious, selfish lady. I am not telling this, Bharata tells. Atmakama, Sadachandi, Krodhana, Pragnamanini. These are the 4 adjectives he uses for Kaikeyi. But we may, if we have the interest to create our own Ramayanam, in that Ramayanam, Kaikeyi could be good. But sadly, the good, most authentic Ramayanam that we have till date is Valmiki's Ramayanam. So let us go by Valmiki's Ramayanam. Likewise, whenever I have an opportunity to do Mahabharatam, I will tell. Karna is not positioned as a great king by Vyasa. He was a very jealous king. This is what Vyasa tells. But sadly, Karna has got that hero status in all our movies. In Tamil Nadu, if I go and talk about Karna, all the aunties and uncles will start crying. Because if they listen to Shivaji Ganeshan's song in Super Singer, they all start shedding tears. They will start demonizing me. But Karna is not positioned in such a good way by Vyasa. Whether we want to create a hero out of Karna is different. But what is stated in Puranam is what I am here for. I am not here to give my own version. So, Kaikeyi is the next very, like marriage hall, it is Kaikeyi here. Kaikeyi Shankayevaha Parichat Chadmana Jara. Look at how poets copy. See, plagiarism, when you declare it as copying, it is not plagiarism. See, in a book, if you say that my inspiration is Kalidasa, I have used many verses, they will not file any case against you. Only when you say that it is my own work. Kandam tells, Vangarum Padam Nitti Vagutta Vanmigi Yenban Teenkavi Shavigallartha Tevarum Pargachaidan Angavan Pugalandanatai Naravam Mandi Mungayan Peshalutran Yennanan Murialuttrain. When great poets like Valmiki et al. Have given such a beautiful description of Rama and his characteristics, who am I? A weak-minded Kandam to speak. So he gives all credits to Valmiki and others. Likewise, Kalidasa tells, Purva Suribihi Mani Sutra Mani Iva Samutkirine Sutrasya Iva Astime Gatihi, he tells in Raghuvamsham. He tells, I don't have to do anything. Valmiki has done most of the job. I am just adding all the pearls together and stringing them together, he tells. Likewise, Kalidasa tells, Tam Karna Moolamagatya, that single strand of grey hair came. You know what Kandam tells? Naraitadu vor Mair. He copies the same aspect of Kalidasa. So now Dasharatha had to speak to himself. He tells, Preeti Resha Katham Ramo Rajasyan Mai Jivati Yesha Hyasta Para Preetir Hridi Samparivartate Kada Nama Sutam Drakshyam Abhyashiktit Mayam Priyam Vridhika Mohi Lokasya Sarva Bhutanukampakaha. He tells, it is also my wish. He tells to himself, the moment he understands from the single strand of grey hair, he tells to himself, even I will be very pleased to see my dear son Rama sit on the throne and manage and administer this entire kingdom. After he tells this, he goes to the people directly. See, why did we bring democracy in 1947? Why did we bring? We thought that why should only one family get the status of ruling? The most talented person anywhere in the country should get it. Let people elect. So, of the people, by the people, for the people. This was the concept of democracy. Let us not get into whether we are following that or not. So, we did not want son, grandson, great-grandson, same family ruling the country. So, that is why we thought the regime of Raja, Rajakumara does not do. Well, let us have democracy. But sadly, we say we are in democracy, but still our political class is majorly hierarchy based. It is still legacy based. It is not at all democracy. Whereas if you take those regimes of the Rajas in those days, it may superficially look like the son is made as the king heir apparent. But it was democracy. You know what Dasharatha does immediately? He doesn't go and tell Rama should become the king. He tells, let me go and ask the people first whether my son is capable or not. Prapya varsha sahasrani bahunyan yushi jivitaha jirnasya asya sharirasya vishranti mibhirocharo idam shariram kritsnasya lokasya charatahitam pandurasya tapatrasya chayayam jaritam maya. Let me go and ask the people. So he went and asked. He said, my dear people, I have been thinking for a very long time that Rama will be able to rule better than me. If I have started some scheme, my son will come and continue. In our class, it is not like that in our country. One government will do one scheme. Next government will come and say that scheme is bad and abolish that scheme. They will come with another scheme. See, the best about hierarchy or administration is to carry forward the work and try to twist or tweak the work to make it suit the current conditions. You should not abolish any scheme. This is what Kautilya tells in Arthashastram. Anurupaha savonathaha lakshmivan lakshmanagrajaha trailokyamapi nathena yenasya nathavattaram. So he tells, I have come here, I have had this thought, but do not get any judgment based on my thought. I could be completely wrong. So he tells, give me your consent. See, in most of the surveys, they will ask whether this is good or bad, yes or no. But those are not the right kind of surveys. You should give people to express their thoughts. So that is when in our questionnaires, in our programming language, we call it as text box. We will give one text box. You have to type your questions, you have to type your opinions. So he tells, don't say yes or no. You have to give a reason. If you tell that Rama is the right person to become the heir apparent, you have to give a reason. If you say that he is not to be the heir apparent, you have to give a reason. He tells, Yadidam menu rupartham maya sadhu sumantritam bhavanto menu manyantam katham va karavanyaham. So, that is when the assembly, in that entire assembly of people, in the Mughals' time, you had two divans, Divani Am, Divani Khas. So one was meant for the ministers and the other was meant for the common people. So he had gathered all the common people. There was such a thunder and a roar in the entire assembly of people. So he was worried whether they will say no together. So he asked, you have to support your thoughts or your consent with reasons. That is when there is a beautiful shlokam which people state. Ichhamohi mahabahum raghuviram mahabalam gajena mahatayantam ramam chhatravritananam. Ichhamohi mahabahum. Hey ichhami. Ichha in Sanskritam means wish. So here Valmiki tells, Ichhamohi. We can only wish. People say, we can only wish, we cannot do anything more than that. But it is you, the king, who has a right to anoint your son as a heir apparent. So we can only wish, Ichha Mohi. But remember, king, we were wishing for that time when you will declare this, Ichha Mohi. See, in Sanskritam, did I talk about yogam in the last lectures? Yogam. What is yoga? What is yoga? Baba Ramdev. What is yoga? United with God. Next. What is yoga? There is another meaning to yoga. See, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. What is Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham? LIC. You know, in LIC, right? Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham. That is their tagline. What is Yogam? What is Kshemam? If you get something which you have never thought you will get, that is called Yogam. And whatever you have got, if that stays with you, it is called Kshemam. See, I remember many instances. People keep, in Kerala, they have this habit of buying lottery tickets. So they'll keep buying, but they may not get it. One person has come to a conclusion, how much ever I buy, I am never getting that prize. One day he gets prize. So he is holding the ticket in that bus and he goes. Initially in those days, Aadhaar card was not required for lottery ticket. So if I take that lottery ticket, even I can go and claim. So some other person takes it. It is a democratic country. How does it matter if the ticket is in his pocket or my pocket? That person takes that ticket. So this person had Yogam. He got what he never even thought of, but that never stayed with him. So he had never had Kshemam. So Yogam is getting knowledge. Kshemam is retaining that knowledge. So Yoga Kshemam. So Yogam means getting. The other mean is Yogam, which is Bhakti Yogam, Sharanagati Yogam, and so on. A part of that Bhakti Yogam is Ashtanga Yogam, Yamam, Niyamam, Asanam, Pranayamam, Pratyaharam, and so on. Dharana, Dhyanam, Samadhi. Ashtanga Yogam. Yogam is the posture. I will give you another meaning of Yogam. It is in Tarka Shastram. You have to listen to this very intently to understand our scriptures. See, I will try to make my lectures as simple as possible. But even then, when you bring Tarka Shastram and Vaiseshika Nyayam and all that, it becomes a bit complicated. I will try to make it as simple as possible. Yogam means unison, to put together, unity or homogeneity. Here, we have two types of Yogam, which is Ayoga Vyavachedam. Second one is Anya Yoga Vyavachedam. I will take few minutes to explain this, then we can get inside. Ayoga Vyavachedam, Anya Yoga Vyavachedam. Ayoga Vyavachedam, for example, Rama is an archer only. What does this statement mean? Rama is an archer only, meaning Rama has the option. Somebody asks, what is Rama? Can you tell something about Rama? Is he a doctor? Is he an engineer? Is he an auditor? Is he an advocate? Or is he an archer? No, no, no. Rama is an archer only. Meaning, Rama is not a doctor. Rama is not an auditor. Rama is not a lawyer. He is an engineer. He is an archer only. So, that only is associated with the predicate of this sentence, which is archer. Correct? Now, instead I use the sentence, Rama alone is an archer. You know what is the meaning of that alone? Rama only is an archer. Meaning that you have been thinking all this while that Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrughna, Abhinav, Bindra were all archers. Lakshmana is not an archer. Abhinav Bindra is not an archer. Rama only is an archer. So that only gets together with the subject and not the predicate. Correct? So this is called Anya Yoga Vyavachedam. So Ayoga Vyavachedam is when you do with the predicate. Anya Yoga Vyavachedam is when you do it with the subject. Is it understandable? Now, people say that we can only wish Ichamohi, meaning that we do not have the powers to anoint him as the king. We can only wish. So, only is associated with we, implying that we have no powers, only you have the power. We can wish only. So, when we say that only after that wish, it means that our entire life has been dedicated to only Rama. We cannot think of anybody else as the king. That is why when Bharata was to be made the king, all the citizens opposed. So here we have Ichamohi Mahabahum. Hey Dasharatha, you have got such long arms. We were thinking why you were given that long arms. Now we came to know, to anoint Rama as the king, you need to carry that crown, right? Mahabahum. Raghuviram. He is the one who has come in your clan. What is the rule in your clan state? It states that the first son has to become the king. So Raghuviram Mahabalam. We have seen his valor when he killed Tataka, when he killed Subahu, when he drove away Maricha. Ichamohi Mahabahum Raghuviram Mahabalam. But we want to see him in a different posture. We have always seen him play with our sons. We don't want to see Rama that way. Gajena Mahata Yantam. He has to sit atop the royal elephant called as, what was the royal elephant in Ayodhya called? Huh? Last, yeah. Can somebody, he's telling the answer, I'm not able to hear. Kunjara means normal elephant. Airavatam is that of Indra. Huh? You are very close. You are right. Shrutanjaya. Shrutanjaya was the name of the elephant of Dasharatha. So that was later serving Rama too. So remember this name, Shrutanjaya. So the Shrutanjaya was the elephant on which the heir apparent had to sit. Gajena Mahatayantam, Dasharatha tells, what do you want me to do with my son? People said, we want to see him seated at the top of that Shrutanjaya. Gajena Mahatayantam, Ramam Chhatravritananam. You have to protect him from the scorching rays of the sun. So we want to see somebody hold the umbrella from behind. You know why? Dasharatha tells you have to support it with lot of reasons, right? That is when they all tell, Vriddhab Madhura Madhura Labha Vayo Vriddhaihi Jnana Vriddhaihi Sheela Vriddhaihi. Dasharatha, you do not know. You were always busy in administration. You know what Rama used to do? If Rama puts his palms together, 10 people will come to understand what needs to be done to your son. People are there to serve your son. He is that kind of a prince. But you know, when he never used to do that. If he wanted to learn something, he used to walk by the streets of Ayodhya, get inside the house of that scholar, fall at his feet, and will always want to present himself as a humble, knowledge-seeking student. Vayo vriddhaihi, jnana vriddhaihi, sheela vriddhaihi. Hey Dasharatha, I have seen so many times that he used to come and sit on my grandfather's lap and learn so many things. The other person said, we have seen him so many times. When our calves used to suffer, he used to run along with us to the veterinary hospital. The other person said, when we were finding it very tough to manage the old people in our house, he used to come and spend sleepless nights in our house. Look at your son. He is the prince. If he puts his palms together and gives a clap, there are 10 people to serve him. He never used to do that. He used to come and serve us. We want one person who has grown up with us. We have seen him. We know him head to tail. He is the right person and he will be the sun to your entire solar race. In your race, there will be no king who has been as valorous and as prudent and intelligent like how Rama is. Make him the king. Dasharatha was not convinced. He said, see, you are speaking good things about my son to me. This is called flattery. Any parent will want to hear good things about their children. So you want to make me happy. You tell me some other reason. Vasishtha stood up. He said, Dasharatha, I will give you a different reason. Dasharatha said, you say, then I will decide whether it's a different reason or not. Vasishtha said, his wife Sita is good. So, what does it imply? The commentator states, people who come to that particular position, their family members should also be good. Correct. So, Sita was such a great lady, Tayyilum Nallal. She is the best amongst women. So, when you bring Rama, the biggest quality or qualification that he has in him is not that of his, but his wife is good. Dasharatha said, that point I agree. See, they had such a good relationship that when Hanuman comes in Sundara Kandam and tells Mata, Sita, I just want to inquire if you are Sita only. Sita tells, I will introduce myself, Hanuman, don't worry. Snusha Dasharathasyaaham. She, you know what is the first introduction she gives? She tells, I am the daughter-in-law to Dasharatha. Asyasa Janakatmaja. I am the daughter of Janaka. Madam, any other qualification? Okay, I am the wife of Rama. So third qualification only was the wife of Rama thing that came into picture. The first qualification was, I am the daughter-in-law of Dasharatha. So Dasharatha, if he has to come into the good books of Sita and Sita has to come into the good books of Dasharatha, imagine what kind of a modern society that we had then. We are now living in Stone Age, as per me. We are not in a modern era. In those days, they were in the modern era. Something, Vedanta Deshika tells in Yadavabhyudayam, he tells, just because some tradition is old, don't think that everything is right about the tradition. Just because something is new, do not think it is to be discarded. Look at the merits and demerits and accept things. He tells in Yadavabhyudayam, a great traditional scholar like Deshika tells, just because some tradition is old, it doesn't mean it is right. He declares. So we had Sita, whose qualities were appreciated and cherished by a great king like Dasharatha, by a great scholar like Vasishta. So that is when Dasharatha tells, all my dear people, you have finally said that Rama has to become the heir apparent. Yuvaraja means the next in the line. He will not be made the king. Yuvaraja means he is the heir apparent. After Dasharatha's death, he will be made the king. But in the due process, he will be given the training how to administer. See, in those days, if you have to become a king, first of all, you should be trim, 6 packs. Because if somebody comes and fights, you have to fight along. In our country, I used to notice, in Bombay, while I used to travel to my office from Matunga, near Vikroli Godrej complex, there used to be police recruitment. So, people will be there with their bunions, and there will be many camps there. They will check the person's hand, waist, chest. I used to wonder, before recruitment, they will check. After recruitment also, they should check, right? So after we join, we let it grow exponentially. So when that person holds a gun, we feel so sad to make that person run. Because we will run faster than him. So in those days, if kings had to be given positions, first of all, they should be physically trim. Then they will be given full, terrific training in Shastram. They should know how to give judgment. Because in those days, judiciary and constitution was one together. There was no separate court. King was the court. So to make, see, decisions are never formulas. See, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. This is maths. But judgment can never be that way. If you have 2-3 judges deciding one case, you might have noticed in many cases, one judge will say completely something different contrary to the other person. Because this person has to substantiate what he or she states. See, I as a judge have to tell, see, in this particular case of 1973, when a similar case was dealt by Allahabad High Court, that time the judge used Article 31, 36, Section 48, 49 to decide this case. But today, I am using the other section which is 49B. So I have to justify. I cannot give judgment like that. Likewise, right, in those days, kings were very well trained to give judgment. They knew how to give judgment. They used to go and stand before them. You might have heard of a great Chola king. The Chola king, while he was going in the chariot in his kingdom, his chariot wheel ran upon the calf. That very day, the mother to that calf, the cow came and rang the bell of that king and said, "You have done injustice to my calf." You know what that king did? He asked his son to go and sleep below the chariot and killed his son. He said, if I have killed somebody else's son, my son should also bear the same brunt. Like how you are suffering from the death of your child, O cow, I should also experience that pain. So kings were all very learned in those days. We cannot go by the literal name Raja today. Because people who hold that name may not be knowledgeable. In those days, kings were knowledgeable. So Rama was given such intense training by Vasishta. So Vasishta tells, make Rama the king. Now Dasharatha decides, okay, let me make Rama the king. Now he has to inform Rama first. First he has to get the consent of Rama. So he tells, ask Sumantra to go and inform Rama and let Rama come. Dirghabahum mahasatvam mattamatangagaminam. When Rama walked, it seems it used to look like the gait of an elephant. He used to be as majestic as that. See, when you are a statesman, a true leader of a country, the way you carry yourself matters a lot for the image of a country. So if imagine there is one leader, when the meeting is happening, we are sleeping. So in that case, when you are not giving importance to your own meetings, where will you create an image for your state or country? So you should always be alert. These are all important qualities of a leader. A leader has to have a very good memory power. See, if I go to some other country, I meet one person there. He has offered to give me a project. 10 years later, when I meet that person, I should say, I remember 2007, I met you there for this project. I don't remember anybody. That person comes, oh, did you meet, did I ask you to, where did we meet? I think you were very different those days. You underwent some surgery. If I ask such questions like this, memory power is the biggest asset of a leader. He should be able to speak extempore. The person should be able to relate what is good, what is bad. These are all qualities of a leader. In those days, extensive training used to be given for kings. If you have to manage your kingdom, if Rajaraja Chola of Tanjavur belt had his regime extended up till Vietnam and Cambodia, imagine how much of art he must have had. If you have to go to a country, you have to convince the citizens of that country that I am not going to change your culture. I am here only to rule and give good administration to you. So you should be very good leaders. So Rama was one such leader. If all the leaders in this world say that we want Rama Rajyam, imagine what kind of a king Rama would have been. Of course, in the first set of lectures itself, I had openly declared that an act of sending the pregnant Sita to the forest was the biggest blot in Rama's character. No doubt. But just because you see one blot, you cannot negate all the good qualities that Rama had in his regime. So Rama, when he used to walk, Matta Matanga Gaminam, the way he used to walk itself, he used to position himself as a statesman. Matta Matanga Gaminam, Chandrakantananam Ramam, Ativa Priyadarshanam, Chandrakantananam Ramam. Though he came in the dynasty of Surya Vamsham, yet he was not called Rama Surya, he was called Rama Chandra. Because his face always used to emanate the cool nectarine-like rays of the moon. So, Chandrakantananam Ramam Ativa Priyadarshanam. He was so handsome. When he spoke, see, some people are very good to look at. But if you hear them speak, it is better that they observe the vow of silence, Mauna Vratam. So, we have many such leaders in our country. They look very handsome. But when they speak, you will feel very ashamed. You should not have such leaders. Because when we there are some people who may not have great looks. But when they speak, what they speak will overpower their looks and their looks will become very attractive to us. But Rama, generally there is a saying in English, beauty with no brains. Because you cannot find a combination of beauty with brains. Rama was one unique combination. Ativa Priyadarshanam. Very handsome to look at. But when he used to speak, people used to take notes. Everything what he said was from Shastram. Dharmo Vigrahavan Adharma Viratim. He was a personification of Dharma. Tyagaraja tells, Sudha Madhurya Bhashana Sudha Madhurya Bhashana Sudha. When he used to speak, it used to feel as if nectar was personified as words, it seems. Such sweet words. Even if we had to convey something negative, he'll convey in such a way that the other person doesn't feel bad or hurt about it. So, Rupa Audarya Gunaihi Pumsam Drishti Chittapaharinam Dharma Bhitapta Parjanyam Ladayantamivav Prajaha. The moment he came inside the harem of Dasharatha, he fell at the feet of his father. He said, Abhivadaye Sapranjalirabhivpretya Pranataha Piturantike Namasvam Shravayan Ramo Vavande Charano Pituhu. So he fell at his father's feet and offered his Abhivadanam. Abhivadanam, Abhivandaye. We generally say Abhivadaye, Angirasa. Abhivandanam is when you offer your obeisances to an elderly person. Here, Dasharatha told Rama, Rama, you are going to be made the heir apparent. If I had been in that place, I would have jumped with joy. I would have run hither and thither. You know, in Sundara Kandam, when Hanuman spots one lady sleeping next to Ravana, he first thinks it is Sita. He has come in search of a lady because Rama has given general description. She will have 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, 2 hands. So he looks at one lady. Hanuman is a Naishtika Brahmachari. He has never gone to, a lot more can happen over a cup of coffee. So he doesn't know. about ladies. So he was thinking this lady must be Sita. So he was excited. So aspotayamasa chuchumba pucham nananda chikrida jagau jagama stambana roham nipapata bhumau nidarshayam swam prakritim kapinam. Valmiki tells, finally he proved himself to be a monkey. I have given such a big status to Hanuman as Navavyakarana Pandita. Prakritim kapinam. He has shown the nature of a true monkey. When monkey gets excited, it will go up and down the pillar. It will start giving kiss to its tail. Chuchumba pucham. Then he thinks, what I have concluded is wrong. Will Rama Patni be sleeping next to Ravana? Rama could have done that. He did not. He acted as if somebody else is getting Pattabhishekam done. He was unmoved with no excitement. So he tells, Tvaya yataf prajakshemaha swagunairanurranjitaha tasmatvam pushya yogena yauvarajyamavapnuhi. In the nakshatram of Pushya, see, Pushya nakshatram as per Shastram is a day when you take a medicine, it will give full effect to you. But if the doctor tells you have to take thrice a day, don't stop because I have said. But Pushya nakshatram, when you take any medicine, that Pushya nakshatra medicine will give full effect. I don't know if you have heard in Ayurveda Shastram, they give something called as Swarna Bindu. So they will prepare very good gold powder and they will administer it to children. They will give only on the Pushya nakshatram of a month. They will not give it on other days. So Pushyam was the month where it was fixed. Tasmatvam pushya yogena yauvarajyamavapnuhi. Dasharatha then told, Bhuyo vinayamasthaya bhavanityam jitendriyaha kamakroda samuthani tyajasvya vyasanani cha. Oh my dear son Rama, I don't have to give you any advice. You are in a position where you can advise me. Yet as a king I have to give you advice. Do not show extremes of emotion. Don't show that you are very angry or very happy. I don't have to tell you this, but you generally follow. You are like that, but I'm just telling you. After that, he tells, you have to be very careful, Rama. There are certain vices that a king can commit. Mriga, akshaha, diva, swapaha, mriga, yakshaha, akshaha. Mriga, do not go on hunting. Why should the Dasharatha tell this? Any idea? Because he had the bad experience of going on hunting and having killed Shravana Kumara, Mrigaha. Akshaha. You know what does Aksham mean? Aksham means dice, gambling. Do not do gambling. Who was the king who lost all his property because of gambling? Huh? Yudhishthira. Everybody agrees? But is that the king what Dasharatha would have thought in his mind? No, because Yudhishthira came after that. Very good. Nala. Nala was a king who lived before Dasharatha. Because Sita in Sundara Kandam she tells, hey, the great wives of great kings, you all need to protect me. That time she tells, Nala yeva damayanti cha. So she uses Nala. So Nala must have lived before that. So he tells Akshaha, do not gamble. Then he tells Diva swapaha. As a king, you should not sleep during the day. If you sleep during the day, whatever you remember will go away, it seems. Try not sleeping for 2-3 days, you will remember what we have discussed in Ramayanam. If you sleep during the day, when the sun is shining and we sleep, then we will forget what we have learnt. Diva swapaha, parivadaha, striyo madaha. These are all vices that you have to avoid, my dear son. Now, Rama's reaction has been, are you able to hear with this noise? Does it need to be increased? No. Tadaya parishurai sheida tamarai kannan kadal butchilan igandilan kadan idu endru unarndum yadu kotravan yeviyadu adal seyalandro needi yerku enninaindum appanithalai nindran. So he was very happy, Dasharatha, that my son has managed all his emotions so well. Now he called his son again. Rama took the instructions from his father and was about to leave the harem. That is when Dasharatha said, call Rama again. Ramam punarihanaya. Call him again. Why? Because Kulashekar Alvar, one of the mystic poets in the Tamil tradition, tells, Va poguva. It seems Dasharatha used to call his son Rama, come. And Rama used to come. And in a few seconds he will say, go. And Rama used to go. And then he will say again, Rama, come. You do this to your children. You will call your daughter or son, come. They'll come. They'll ask, what? And you have nothing to say. No, 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 you go. They are leaving. You say, no, 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 come here again. What has happened to you? Wouldn't they shout? Why didn't Rama shout, and why did Dasharatha have to call Rama repeatedly? Because when Rama used to come in the front, he used to observe and relish the Saundaryam and Lavanyam of Rama from the front. When he goes turning in the back, he used to observe the back, because in temples, if you go to the famous Vairamudi Seva of Tirunarayanapuram Melukottai, there will be 500 people walking in the front. There will be 5 lakh people walking at the back. And there is a saying of the Alvar, Munnilum Pinnalagiya Perumal. He is more handsome at the back, it seems. So because for a man or a woman, the curvatures have to be right in the middle. So it has to come to such a curve that the hip has to fit inside this gap of 2 fingers. In this, the entire hip should go. So that person is called as the epitome of Samudrika Lakshana Shastram. So Rama was such an epitome of Samudrika Lakshana Shastram that father wanted to call. But you know what Dasharatha said? Here is where Ayodhya Kandam takes a turn. He tells, Prayena cha nimittanam idrishanam samudbhave raja hi mrityumapnoti ghoram chapadam uchchati. Hey son, Rama, I just told you that you have to become the higher apparent. But I did not tell you why I wanted to come to this decision so soon. I'll tell you why. Gora nimittani. I see some nimittam which is not good in nature. They are all bad nimittam, which tells that the king who is ruling will die very soon. Before my death, I wanted to ensure that I will make you the higher apparent. In those days, people were trained how to decide or how to know that they are going to die. You know that? Even till about 50 years, I have heard from my acharyas, my acharya who's no more, the great Mahamahopadhyaya Srivatsankacharya Swami used to state that in Shastram, if you learn Vedam and Bhashyam, they will teach you, I don't know if we have teachers like that today, they will teach you in certain cases you can decide that you will die very soon. They are all, I'll give you one instance. Can I? Now people are so worried. So why do you have to tell all that, sir? We have to come for 2 more days. Don't worry. That is, see, all these things will be known to people who follow Shastram. We don't come in that bracket at all. So we will just discuss the theory in it. If you take bath in the morning, and when the first thing that you have to do is, after taking bath, if you stand before the mirror, if you appear as somebody else, then it means that your death is approaching. One, people will start looking at the mirror. The effect of this lecture. One. Second, if you look at the sun within the small crevice that you create with your palms in the afternoon, you will see a black ring in the sun that you see, which also indicates that your death is approaching. This is what Shastram tells. But all this will apply for people who follow Shastram. We don't come in that bracket, so we'll understand only that theory. Because my Acharya used to state, his mother, as soon as she took bath and she came, he was reading Sri Bhashyam, it seems. So she came and stood before the mirror. She was telling, Srivatsanka, yaro terirada kannadile. He had learnt this aspect in Shastram, but he did not pay heed to what his mother said. In a few seconds from then, she collapsed there, it seems. That is when he remembered this Shastram line which tells that Darpanatve, if you stand before mirror, you will appear as somebody else. Which indicates, so in those days, people knew that they will die. In Aryabhattiyam, Aryabhatta tells certain calculations to decide how the Jivatma will get out of the body. So we had great scholars in those days in our country who knew when they will die. So he tells, Prayena cha nimittanim idrishanam samudbhave raja hi mrityumapnoti. Raja will attain mrityu. That is why Rama I have given. That is when Rama asked, Father, what nimittam did you see? He has to ask, right? He said, I saw some bad omens. What bad omen? Avedayanti Deivajnaha Surya Angaraka Rahubihi. He tells, I have heard from the person who decides the position of the astronomical bodies that in a few days from now, the sun's rays will fall exactly in one straight line with Angaraka Rahubihi, with Rahu and Angaraka, who's Mars. So if the sun's rays, Mars and Rahu come together in the straight line, it is not good for the country. It is believed, some sources say, that the Europeans developed this art of nimittam by traveling to India. In those days, you had travelers coming from other countries. You had Chinese travelers, you had Al-Biruni coming from Arab world, you had Hyun Xiang during Harshavardhana period. So you had many travelers. So Europeans used to travel to India to master the art of understanding astronomical positions and determining future. One such person is believed to be Nostradamus. So Nostradamus tells that in certain countries people will die. Based on astronomical positions that he mastered in India, he wrote back in French that these places people will die. But the beauty is he talks more about the eastern hemisphere and not the western hemisphere. He will not go towards the west world. He will always talk about the east because his connections have always been with India and the rest of the world. When I say the rest of the world, around India, you've got Afghanistan. See, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, they were all one together at one point in time. You never had so many countries then. Now, coming to the topic, he tells Surya Angaraka Rahubihi. He tells, Rama tells, Father, I agree. But as far as my knowledge goes, that Surya Angaraka Rahubihi will happen from a few weeks from now, not immediately. But why do you want to coronate me as a heir apparent tomorrow itself? It is a very sudden announcement. Why do you hurry so much? That is when Dasharatha tells, your brother Bharata is not in the country, so I want to coronate you immediately. So here comes the first twist in Ramayanam. Why Bharata should not be there? Comes the question, Kim nu chittam manushyanam anityamiti me matam tat yavadeva me cheto na vimuhyati raghava. Here also, Dasharatha is such an intelligent king. He doesn't mention the word Bharata. He tells, some people's presence may add confusion, which implies that somebody's absence is now forcing him to do the coronation. Rama understood this. Viproshitascha bharataha yavadeva puraditaha. Rama, the moment he heard Dasharatha, it seems Valmiki, note Valmiki's expression. He tells, he just looks. I am not able to show that expression, I am not a dancer. But Valmiki tells there in Ramayanam, it seems Rama gave a very different expression to Dasharatha. The very moment he gave that expression, Dasharatha knew what Rama implied through the expression. Rama said, you don't have to worry about telling that name. You don't have to be politically correct with me. No press is inside this room. You tell me what you are really worrying for. He tells, Viproshitascha bharataha. Bharata is not here. Why? Because there is one small anecdote to this. It is not mentioned in Ramayanam. It comes in the commentary of Ramayanam. And my Acharya used to mention this too. Dasharatha was happily married to Kaushalya. Once he went on hunting. Hunting was the biggest pastime of Dasharatha, because of which he had a big problem later. Shravana Kumara episode will come tomorrow. So, when Dasharatha went to the forest, there he saw one lady. This lady was the princess of Kekeya Desham. She came, and when she saw Dasharatha from a certain peak, she told her friends that I want to be his wife. Her friends said, he may already be married. She said, no problem, I want to marry him. How will she approach him? So she disguised herself as a fortune teller. If you go to some of the villages, they will be holding one basket and one stick. They will look at your palm and tell you your fortunes. So she went as a fortune teller before Dasharatha. See, whichever person, however philosophically mature that person is, if you see a fortune teller or astrologer, you will be tempted to ask what will happen to me. That is human mentality. If you hear somebody telling, I know little astrology, you know little astrology, tell how this year will be. You tell me how this week will be, that person will say very bad. Then you will see the lectures, 3 days announcement, and you will come here. So the fortune will become fructified here. Why I am telling you this is, Dasharatha showed his right palm. He said, madam, please look at my right palm. She said, your palm, show me, it seems fine. You are well qualified. You don't have to be a fortune teller to tell that. In those days, kings were well qualified. Today, you may have to think and tell. But in those days, well qualified. You seem very valorous, very strong. I think you will be married very soon, she said. Dasharatha said, no, I don't have any plans of marriage. I'm already married. No, you'll marry a few minutes from now. Few minutes from now, who is that girl? She said, me. Dasharatha said, you are a fortune teller? How dare you say this? No, she said, I am the princess. Why did you come? Because I liked you. How dare you say that I will marry you? Dasharatha, know that if you put your right palm to a girl and she holds that by the right palm, it means panigrahanam. So your marriage is already done. So the way Kaikeyi married Dasharatha itself was a big hoax. Now Dasharatha was amazed at the beauty of Kaikeyi. He goes and asks Kaikeyi's father, can I take her to my kingdom? That time, Kaikeya, the Desham's king, that is Kaikeyi's father, tells that I am sure you have one wife before, and as per your rule, that son only will become the king. Give me a promise that Kaikeyi's child will only become the king. Dasharatha promises. So when Dasharatha promises, he comes back, and later Rama is born, Bharata is born, but all his life he has showered affection on Rama. So now if he has to make Bharata the king, he will go against his own wishes. So he wanted to ensure that the coronation happens in the absence of Bharata. You are getting the point, because this story Ramayanam doesn't tell. The commentator tells from one Puranam. So I will read out this word. Viproshitascha bharataha yavadeva puraditaha tavadeva abhishekaste prapta kale mato mama. Now, where is Bharata and Shatrughna? Bharata and Shatrughna should have gone somewhere. You remember at about around 6:05 today, 6 p.m., 5 minutes, I spoke about one shlokam. The first shlokam of Ayodhya Kandam. Gacchata matulakulam bharatena tata anaghaha shatrughnaha nitya shatrughnaha nitaf priti puraskritaha. This is the shlokam which is the trump card for us. Why? Because Gacchata, the first verse of Ayodhya Kandam's first word is Gacchata. Gacchata means as they walked. You know why that word walked has been put first by Valmiki? Because Ayodhya Kandam is full of Gacchata. Why? Bharata and Shatrughna, Gacchata, they went to Kaikeya Desham. Upon listening to the words of Kaikeyi, Dasharatha sends Rama, Sita and Lakshmana to the forest, Gacchata. Understanding that Rama has gone to the forest, Dasharatha goes to Swargam, Gacchata. To bring back Rama and Lakshmana from the forest, Bharata goes to the forest, Gacchata. So the entire Kandam is full of Gacchata. So Gacchata means they left, they walked. Matula Kulam. See, Kaikeyi's father and her brother were so affectionate to Bharata. They said, you have to be in our kingdom. Come and stay with us for some time. Bharata should have gone. Shatrughna has no relationship with Kaikeya Desham. Like how if Rama goes, Lakshmana will walk by. Same way, when Bharata goes, Shatrughna will also go. Gacchata matula kulam bharatena. Along with Bharata, tata anaghaha. Agham in Sanskrit means sin. Anagha means flawless, sinless. So the flawless Shatrughna walked along with Bharataha. Shatrughnaha, he was called Shatrughna. Why he was called Shatrughna? Because he had won over enemies. Which enemy did Shatrughna fight? You remember any enemy which Shatrughna fought? Huh? Internal enemies, very good. He fought over the internal enemies. Of course, in Uttarakandam, we have one small reference that Shatrughna fought a demon king called as Lavanasura. But here it implies internal enemies. He had won over Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mahadamatsaryam. So he was called Shatrughnaha. But Valmiki does a Punarukti. Punarukti in Sanskritam means to repeat words. See, for example, if you notice my lecture today, there will be certain words that I will be using repeatedly. So. So for a bad speaker, these are all the qualifications. You should never use words repeatedly. In Sanskritam, it is called Punarukti Dosham. You should never use words repeatedly. You should use newer words. But here, what Valmiki does? Shatrughnaha, Nitya Shatrughnaha. How can he repeat the word again? So it is not Punarukti Dosham. Somebody said, very good. Rama's bhakti was the biggest enemy. You know what was the biggest enemy which Shatrughna had won? Rama bhakti. Sir, what is this, sir? Are you from many Kazhagams in Tamil Nadu? You are telling Rama bhakti is an enemy. How can Rama bhakti become enemy? See, Rama bhakti will become an enemy to a person who wants to serve Rama's devotees. Imagine somebody going and standing in front of Mount Everest. I am going and standing in front of Mount Everest and I am telling, not bad, Mount Everest is taller than me. People will laugh at me. That is 8,848 meters above the mean sea level. You are barely 0.75 meters above the mean sea level. Where can you even compare yourself to Mount Everest? Likewise, if I go and stand before the all-pervasive Lord called as Mahavishnu and I tell, not bad, he seems to be the controller, people will laugh at me. So serving the all-powerful, all-pervasive, omnipresent, omniscient Lord is not great. So Rama Bhakti is great because I know Rama is greater than me, he is more powerful, I am serving him. But Lakshmana and Bharata served Rama. But you know what Shatrughna did? He thought, Bharata is serving Rama, but nobody is there to serve Bharata. So let me serve Bharata. So if Bharata has to be served, Shatrughna has to overcome the obstacle called as Rama Bhakti. Then only he get Rama Bhagavata Bhakti. He will get Bhakti towards Rama's devotees. So the Shatru for Shatrughna was Rama Bhakti. Only if he crossed Rama Bhakti, he will get Bharata Bhakti. Since he had won over the Nitya Shatru called as Rama Bhakti, he was called Shatrughnaha. Shatrughnaha Nitya Shatrughnaha Nitaf Preeti Puraskritaha. Now comes an important question. What is the important question? People will ask. I am sure you will also ask. Sir, you are telling Bharata went along with his brother Shatrughna to Bharata's grandfather and uncle's kingdom in Kekeya. What happened to their wives? Many will be worried. What happened to Mandavi, sir? What happened to Shrutakirti? Correct. Many people will ask, sir, people are talking about Lakshmana. I agree. But nobody talks about Urmila, poor lady. Nobody mentions a single word. Very good. See, at times we always want to position ourselves as better intellectuals than Valmiki, which is not bad. But let us see what Right Honorable V.S. Srinivasa Shastri has to tell in lectures on Ramayana. He tells, I am reading out what he says. Mandavi and Shrutakirti are not mentioned. If the poet did not think it necessary to say anything about them, I suppose it is reasonable on our part to pay no attention to them. He says, we cannot help it. Let us suppose that everything was all right with them. So, this is what Right Honorable V.S. Srinivasa Shastri tells. If Valmiki chooses not to tell about that person, it doesn't mean that that person is of lesser importance. If I have to convey the story of Rama, I will take portions which are relevant to Rama's life. If Mandavi, see, by just mentioning a line, Mandavi and Shrutakirti were cooking that day inside the kitchen. If it is not relevant to the story, why will poet Valmiki mention? So, it is the moral that I have learnt, I don't want all others to learn, the moral that I have learnt is, know that our ancestors were intelligent. Whatever they have presented must have come with lot of logical reasoning. Let us first accept it, understand and then question. First, they wouldn't even have touched the book of Ramayana, but they will ask, why didn't Valmiki mention about Urmila? Why didn't Valmiki mention about Mandavi? If he has chosen not to mention, He will not mention. Simple. See, in the 6th book of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling doesn't talk about McGonagall. He talks only in the 5th book. We cannot go and ask J.K. Rowling, why you didn't talk about McGonagall in the 6th book? She is the author. She chooses what she wants to present. Likewise, Valmiki has done that. So, let us suppose everything was fine. Now, from Shatrughna, we need to go to the beautiful coronation message. The message what Rama had to carry. Meanwhile, the most important part comes here where Vasishtha comes to the harem of Rama. He tells Rama, you must have heard the message, because it was a very quiet message. It was not a revealed message. Nobody knew in the kingdom. Only sources can reveal. So it is that kind of a message. So Vasishtha comes and tells Rama, Rama, you will be coronated as the king tomorrow. You know that, right? Yes, Vasishtha. So please go to your Kuladhanam and pray to him. Who is the Kuladhanam? The Lord Ranganatha of Srirangam was the one who was positioned in Ayodhya then. So he tells Rama, go and do your prayers to Ranganatha along with your wife. I will tell you the reason for that. Because in those days, Agni Karyam, any ritual associated with Agni is very, very important. Marriage is agreed as registered as per Sanatana Dharma only when people go around the fire. Fire has to be there. He is the biggest witness ever known to mankind. But there are certain rituals that need not involve Agni. For example, if you do Pinda Pradhanam in Shraddham, you have got Pinda Pradhanam. Some people have had the golden opportunity to go to Gaya. How many of you have gone to Gaya? So I would request those of you whose parents are no more, who have attained Paramapadam, should try to go to Gaya at least once. So in North they say, जो गया है, उसके लिए गया जाना है. So whoever has gone, for them you have to go to Gaya. So in Gaya, you should notice, of course, today it may not be the best of the hygienic conditions, but still you have to go to Gaya is what Shastram tells. Once in your life you have to go to Gaya, you have to do Setu Snanam also is what Shastram tells. Nevertheless, in Gaya, Pinda Pradhanam, it is very important, where they will offer pindams to both the mother and the departed father. Now, the maximum pindams will always go to the mother, lesser for the father, because there when they offer pindams, if you get a well-educated, well-read, communicative and articulate priest, he will tell you why you offer every pindam to your mother. They will give you 16 reasons from the start till the end, how much a mother sacrifices in her life. I don't know how many of you have read the Matru Panchakam of Adi Shankara Bhagavad Pada. It's a beautiful work of 5 verses called Matru Panchakam. Excellent work. How a mother suffers in her life to give birth to a child. How much she sacrifices for the child. Every pindam, when you listen, you will understand how beautiful that ritual is. Forget. Now these are all rituals that may happen without fire. But Agni Karyam, a person is entitled to do only after marriage. So in those days, there used to be a very, very detailed marriage. Marriage was not a big social event in those days. So it used to be 5 days marriage. On the 2nd and the 3rd day, the boy is allowed to tie the Panchakacham. See, remember, I don't know how many of you know, a Brahmachari cannot tie Kacham. Whereas a Grihastha is entitled to tie Kacham. Kacham is where you take the Vastram and you have to tie knots at 5 places. It is called Pancham. So, Panche anta Kannadadalli heltira alva. So, this Panche, Pancha Kacham is what you do with the Vastram. Now, this Pancha Kacham, a person is entitled only after marriage is our understanding. No. The moment he completes Vedic education and undergoes Samavartanam, at that day itself he can tie the Panchakacham and he can increase his thread from 3 to 6. So, on that night, fire is lit and he is asked to perform the Agnihotram from that day. That night, the boy and the girl have to sleep next to the fire. This used to be a custom in those days. After the marriage is over, they have to carry that fire to their house and start doing the Agnihotram. So in those days, Agnihotri used to sport a beautiful golden ring in their ears. If you have seen the great pontiff of Ahobilam, the current Peethadipati, the 46th pontiff, was a great Agnihotri in his Purvashramam. So he used to have rings in his ears. So this is called Agni Karyam. So here Vasishtha tells Rama, now you are going to be coronated. So that night you have to spend inside the temple premises of Ranganatha. So Rama goes, now here is where the mention of the idol comes in Ramayanam. Sahapatnyam Visalakshyam Narayanam Upagamat. This is the line from Valmiki Ramayanam which states where Rama along with his wife Sahapatnya, without Patni that Agni Karyam can never be done. Sahapatnya Visalakshya. Valmiki tells that he did not go with Sita, he went with Visalakshi. Sir, we thought Rama was married to only Sita. Who is this Visalakshi in his Rama's life? Sita was called Visalakshi. Why? Because she had large eyes. Sahapatnyam Visalakshyam Narayanam Upagamat. They wanted to go and worship Ranganatha, who is Narayana. Why is Sita being mentioned as Visalakshi? The commentator gives 4 pages commentary for this. Why? Rama has to do the Aradhanam for Ranganatha. So to do Aradhanam for Ranganatha, he needs a plate. And he needs the, you need the Deepam to do the Harati, right? It is not Arti, it is Harati. Hayagriva ha. Harati. Harati means doing this. Arti means problem. So if you say Ganga ji ki Aarti ho rahi hai, for that problem only we have put Nitin Gadkari there to remove that problem. So you don't have to give more problem. Aarti is not the word, Harati. And we have this unique custom these days. To put camphor, and in certain temples they will put one bunch of camphors, and it will be, the fire will be so high, they will take it closer to the Lord and they will show, and they will come outside and we start doing this. All this is not there in Agama Shastra. In those days, inside a temple, inside the Garbhagruham, to make the Lord's beauty visible head to toe, they will light a lamp and they will show head to toe. That's all. You don't have to bring it and you don't have to do. Why do we do this? We don't know the answer, right? All this is not permitted. But today if you don't show that lamp, then people will think that this priest doesn't know anything. I told 1 or 2 priests in Tamil Nadu, sir, why are you doing it? It's not there in our Agama. He tells, sir, what you are telling is right. But if I don't show it to them, then those people think that I am not qualified. So only if you do a wrong custom, people will think you are right. See, in Ramayanam, if I don't mention about Lakshman Rekha, people will think I am wrong. Because there is no Lakshman Rekha, there is no Bachchan Rekha, Lakshman Rekha, no Rekha here. But if I don't mention, people will think I am wrong. So all this is not there in Ramayanam, neither it is there in our custom. So the priest has to do this and keep that lamp there. He cannot do it with a camphor, he has to do it with a lamp. He doesn't have to come outside and show, and we don't have to do. Second, when we go to the temple of Balaji or any Vishnu temple, they will give you water, tirtham. When you accept that tirtham, you accept it, and you should not put that water on your head. You are getting the point there? Why? I will give you a reason for that. Because after tirtham, they will give shatari. Have you observed that shatari? Shatari is the personification of Nammalvar or Shatakopan. Shatakopan is called Shatari in Sanskritam. So he is the greatest of the devotees of the Lord. This Tirtham is the Shripada Tirtham of the Lord. If you put Tirtham on the head and Shatari over it, it means the devotee is sitting on the drops of water of the Lord, which the devotee will not accept. So you should not take water and put it on your head. Sir, what should we do? Everything you are saying, do not. When you go inside a temple, if it's a man and you are having the panche in you, you have to take that along and keep it below your palm. If you have a kerchief, take it below the palm. If you have one paper, keep it below the palm. If you are a lady, probably you can use your dupatta or whatever you are in your sari. Why? Because those drops are so holy that you don't want even one drop to spill on the ground. Second, if that water spills on the ground, some other Bhagavata will come skate and fall. So we have to be very careful. We should not cause harm to other people for the benefit of us. So that is why we don't use. Why I am telling you all this is, the Lord has to do Aradhanam for Ranganatha. Now Sita was now thinking, for the first time she is going to observe how her husband is doing Aradhanam. So she thought, if no other profession is available, at least this profession will be available to my husband. So she sits next to him. See, in Aradhanam, you use two things, which is Harati, and second one is Ghanta. Ghanta is the bell. You have to do both simultaneously. You have to do this. So this has to go around and this has to shake like this. Simultaneously, it will never happen for most people. Either this will go like this or this will go like this. So that is why certain intelligent people, what they will do is they will do Harati, keep it down and then take the Ghanta. But you have to do simultaneously in Aradhanam. So now Sita wanted to observe how the Aradhanam skills of her husband were. Now she was observing. Rama was performing Aradhanam like a professional. She thought, he is talented in most arts. I thought he will not be talented in this. He's got such big talent. So in that surprise, her small eyes became large. Sahapatnyam Visalakshya. That is the first reason. Second reason, she was observing that he is performing Aradhanam to himself. Correct. He is the Lord himself. And the Lord who is housed in front of him is Ranganatha. So he is doing Aradhanam to himself. Now she was observing, out of the two, one is Vibhavavataram, the other one is Archavataram. One is an avataram called Rama, the other one is an Archa called as Ranganatha. Both are the same. I want to observe which of the two is more handsome. But when she was observing, she was found that each one, both of them were outsmarting each other. So she thought, this must be the biggest talent that he possesses, and that is why her eyes became large. The third reason, what one commentator remarks, is she was from Nepal. And she being Visalakshi in itself is a surprise. So, Sahapatnyam Visalaksham Narayana Upagamad is the other commentary which the commentator gives. So now they were all sitting. Now that night they had to sleep. Now Vasishta told Rama, you have to be very careful, Rama. Be very careful that most people will be observing you. From today onwards you have to be careful. Tomorrow morning is the coronation. Be very vigilant. It was around 9 p.m. that night. Aradhana was over. Rama and Sita had to sleep in the premises of Ranganatha's temple in Ayodhya itself. A few minutes later comes the most interesting character we would have witnessed in Ramayanam, who is Manthara. So Manthara is the maid servant to Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi's mother was a very party going personality. She never had time to nurture or bring up her own children. So she ensured she gave all the duties to a nanny. That nanny, that hired maid was Manthara. This Manthara used to do so much work for Kaikeyi that Kaikeyi developed a personal relationship with Manthara. So they were very good friends. Now Manthara comes into the scene. Now let us see how Kandam introduces her very beautifully. He tells, Tondriya kuniyum tudikkum nenjinal, undriya veguliyal gulaikum ullattal, kaanderikum nayanattal gadikkum sollinal, moonru ulaginirkum moridukkan muttuval. She was very talented, tells Kandam. What was she talented at? Being in one place, she can keep fight in 10 houses. She was such a big talent, it seems. You don't need to go personally there. If you are very talented, you can keep fights in 10 houses. She was so talented that she can create fight in any scenario. Even amongst the most affectionate brothers, she can create war. See, people say Ramayanam, is it relevant or not? Don't you think you have many Mantharas today? See, human mentality will never change. Probably the regime might have changed. You have Manthara, you have Shurpanaka, you have Ravana. See, Ravana was a very able administrator. Now, because of certain movies, there was a big question. In certain movies, they say that Ravana was good and Rama was bad. What is your opinion, sir? They were asking. See, Ravana was a very, very talented king. No doubt. Sundara Kandam, Hanuman openly reveals. He tells, looking at the administration of Lanka, he thinks to himself, Hanuman, is this a city which my Lord Rama can come and conquer? I don't think so. Because Ravana was an able administrator, very, very learned man. He knew 4 Vedas by heart. He was the greatest devotee of Lord Shiva. He could play Veena beautifully. Great king, valorous. People used to tremble. He was such a powerful king. But what was the biggest blot he had? He had love on a lady who was already married to somebody else. The biggest blot he had. Parastrila jena tanumare Vaishnava jana to dene kahi. So we cannot conclude that Ravana was bad. But of course, the biggest advantage what Rama had over Ravana was he never had this ability or never had the thought of loving somebody else's wife. I will give you one instance in Ramayanam. Mandodari comes running to the battlefield to admonish and scold Rama for having killed her husband. It was afternoon. The shadow of Mandodari was falling on the ground. When she comes running, you know what Rama does? He was looking at the ground. He suddenly saw a shadow approaching him. He got to know from the shadow's shape that it is that of a lady. You know what he did? He went 2 steps behind it seems, so that his shadow also doesn't touch the shadow of another lady. That is when Mandodari stopped and she said, I will not scold you anymore, Rama. Now I have understood in which aspect my husband failed and where you have won. So, never does Shastram tell that tells that Ravana was a bad man. It tells that he had the bad habit of finding love in somebody else's wife. Here, Manthara was such a good maid of Kaikeyi, but when she used to come to Ayodhya in the early days when Kaikeyi was married and gave birth to her children, it seems Rama along with his brothers were playing archery. They were all small boys. You know, you go to the market, you will get something called as mini kitchen. Have you heard of mini kitchen? Children will be bought a mini kitchen. They will have one small pressure cooker, small mixie, small grinder. They will cook, and as parents you have to encourage them. You tell them you cook and give, and when they give, it's very nice and all that. So this is called mini kitchen. Likewise, these children, Rama, Bharata, were given a small arrow, small bow, and what Rama used to do was, he used to take that arrow, fix small mud balls and hit at people whom he used to see. So people used to relish and cherish this. It seems once he hit that arrow with that mud ball on the hunch of Manthara. Manthara took this as a big insult. Ullatil unninal, tells Kandam. That very moment she thought, I will take revenge for this at the opportune time. She tells them. See, imagine I go to somebody's house. They have a newborn baby. I am taking that baby in my hand. Tender lotus-like feet. That baby kicks my chest. I give the child back to them. 20 years later, the child is getting married. I say, stop the marriage! 20 years before, the child kicked on my chest. Same thing is with Manthara. This is what is called maturity. She did not know how to express her emotion. But here we had Manthara. When Manthara மூன்று உலகினிற்கும் ஓர் கூனி அவளே சூழ்ச்சியில் சப்பாணி. So she was the head of all kinds of nuances of the art of cheating people. So she comes inside. Now as soon as she comes, we need to understand Mahabharatam tells who she is. Ramayanam doesn't tell. Mahabharatam tells Tesha Samaksham Gandharvi Dundhubim Nama Namataha Shashasa Varado Devo Devakaryartha Siddhaye Pitamahavasa Shukva Gandharvi Dundhubi Tataha. She was actually a lady called Dundubi, an Apsarastri who was sent by Saraswati Devi herself. Because if Rama lives like this in Ayodhya, then this Ramavataram will find no space. He has to go to Lanka. So there needs to be a reason for him to go to Lanka. So she was sent, deployed it seems. Now Manthara comes. She comes through the backyard. Now Kaikeyi is sleeping. So she tells, Uttishtamude kimsesha bhayam tvam adhivattade upaplutamahogena natmanam avabudhyase. You fool! Uttishtamude. You have to wake up, Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi wakes up. Imagine somebody sleeping and the other one comes and tells you, fool! Kaikeyi woke up. Who is it? Then she looked, she saw Manthara. Manthara, why are you calling me a fool? She said, Anishte subhagakare saubhagyena vikathyase chalam hitava saubhagyam nadyastrota ivoshgage. You know, a big calamity is going to fall on your head, Kaikeyi. You do not know what kind of a destruction you've meted out to yourself in your life. You know what Kaikeyi said? Pararum pudalvarai yavarum uravarum uirai vittu uirai kaanvaral Paravarum Ramanai payarndadarku idarundo indral. She tells Manthara, maybe calamities can strike people. I do agree. But Manthara, remember, having given birth to a son like Rama, why will calamity strike me? So, Manthara has this huge arduous task of brainwashing this Kaikeyi, who calls Rama as her son, to make him go to the forest. Now you see what all tactics she deploys here. She tells, Kaikeyi, you don't say such words to me. You know what is the biggest calamity? Kaikeyi tells, tell me what is the calamity. Ramam Dasharatho Raja Yauvarajyebhya Shechyati Akshayam Sumahad Devi Pravrittam Twadvinashanam. Hey Kaikeyi, you know that Rama, Kaushalya's son. See, now she first introduces gives the first injection. She tells, Kaushalya's son Rama is going to be coronated. A few seconds back, what Kaikeyi said, no calamity can strike me when my son Rama exists. Rama was not her son, but she thought Rama as her son. But now Manthara deploys the first tactic to tell mentally that Rama is not your son. Kaikeyi, Kaushalya's son Rama is going to be coronated. Now, Kaikeyi, she tells, is it? My dear son Rama is going to be coronated? Manthara, you have given the best news to me. Hold this Hyderabad words. Adivasa samtushta Kaikeyi vismayarvita divyamabharanam tasyai kubjayai pradadau shubham utasyau harsha sampurna chandralekeva sharadi. Chandralekeva sharadi. You are looking like a full moon to me. Hey Kaikeyi, please, listen to what I say. No, Manthara, you have to take this pearl necklace along with you. Now, she said, Kaikeyi, you have given, Manthara said, Kaikeyi, you have given the biggest pearl necklace to me, but I don't desire this pearl necklace. I will throw this. She threw. Manthara, why do you have this anger against Rama, my dear son Rama? That is when she tells, Manthara tells, I will tell you why I have got this anger. Kaikeyi, when Rama becomes the king, what will be your position? She asked. Subhaga kila kausalya yatra putrobhya shechyate yauvarajyena mahata shvaha pushyena dvijottamaihi. You know, what is your position, Kaikeyi? He said, I will be the queen of this kingdom. No, you will not be the queen. I will tell you it is Rama Mata who will be the queen. Would she be the queen? I am also a queen, right? Okay, what will be the position of your son Bharata? You tell me that first. Let us go backwards. What will be the position of your son? Bharata will always be my loving son, the loving brother of Rama. Will he become the king? Bharataschapi Ramasya Dhruve Varshashatat Param Pitrupaitam Aham Rajyam Avapsyati Narashabaha. That is when Kaikeyi tells. See, I get your point. You are asking whether my son Bharata will become the king. I will tell you, Varsha Shatasyapi. After 100 years of Rama's regime, my son automatically will become the king. Mantra said, is Rama married or not married, Kaikeyi? He said, no, he is already married, you know very well. Won't he produce children? Won't his children have the right to rule the kingdom? Yeah, but remember, Manthara, that my dear Rama is very affectionate towards my son Bharata. He showers so much of love. He keeps calling him Bharatu, Bharatu. Very, very affectionate towards my son. Surely he will give all the property to my son. That is when Manthara tells, see, I will tell you what will happen after this. All these years, the king Dasharatha has been showering love only on you. He has discarded Kaushalya so much that Kaushalya keeps crying throughout the day that he doesn't go to her harem at all. Yes, I have observed that. See, Manthara, wherever there is beauty, king will come there only. I am the beauty here, so he will come here. Remember, Kaikeyi, that all this was there when you were young, but you are turning old. And now, Dasharatha will not go to your harem, he will go to Rama's harem. What will happen to me then? You know what will happen? Kaushalya will be given all the importance and you will be given none. Okay, if I am not given importance, it is okay. I will go to my father's place. This is what Dasharatha desires. He wants to send you to your father's house. No, I will leave my son here. Why will your son stay here, Kaikeyi? He will also want to come along with you. Okay, I will take my son along. This is the bigger idea they have. First to send you and then to send your son. Manthara, you are confusing me, Manthara. So what should I do now? But my dear son Rama is always my affectionate son. He is the apple of my eye. Forget the apples and oranges, Kaikeyi. Let us become practical. Let us be very practical. This coronation of Rama will be the opportune moment for Kaushalya to avenge all the humiliation she faced from Dasharatha. She will surely avenge. So what should I do now? One more thing. Kaikeyi, you know, I got to see the very confidential list of invitees that Dasharatha has invited for the coronation. With that list, what will you come to know, Manthara? What you are telling all trivial things to me? No, listen to this. Kaikeyi, in that entire list of the kings, your father and Sita's father have not been invited. Why should my father not be invited? Kaikeyi, you remember? Your father had once sought the promise of Dasharatha that the child born to you will be made the king. If your father comes only, he will question. Why call your father? He did not call. Why did he call Sita's father? Because the moment you go along with your son to your father's house and Rama becomes the king and Dasharatha passes away, his father-in-law, who is Janaka, will want to expand the boundaries of his kingdom. The closest kingdom what Janaka can get is that of your father, which is Kekeya Rajyam. If he has to bring Kekeya Rajyam under his fold, he has to fight the king of Kekeya, who is your father. He cannot single-handedly manage your father. He will surely talk to his daughter. His daughter Sita will talk to her husband. If the father-in-law is in a problem, which son-in-law will not want to help? Imagine this, Kaikeyi. Both your father and Sita's father, they want Rama's help. Whom will he support? Will he support his father-in-law or will he support his stepmother's father? Kaikeyi said, he will support Sita's father. If Rama supports Sita's father Janaka, which side will win? Surely Rama will win. Who will lose? My father will lose. All these years you have been telling that you have been nurtured by your father, but you love your father so much and you will be the cause of your father's defeat. Kaikeyi said, yes, Manthara. Manthara, you have opened my eyes literally. She tells, you have opened my eyes literally. Prajñam te navajanami sreshthe sreshthabhidhaini prithivyamasि kubjanam uttama buddhi nischaye tvameva tu mamartheshu nityayukta hitaishini. You are the best philosopher and guide that I can ever find in this world, Manthara. You tell me what I should do now. Manthara tells Kaikeyi, first discard all these riches that you have. Go to the Kopa Bhavanam. In those days, there used to be one place in the kingdom where you can get angry. If you are angry, you can go to that room. In our houses, same place you have to get angry, happy, sad, laugh, everything. In those days, there was a room called as Kopa Bhavanam. Walls used to be red painted, curtains used to be black. So all the environment will be conducive for you to get angry. Even if you are not angry, you will get angry. So she said, you go to the Kopa Bhavanam. Okay, I will go to Kopa Bhavanam, but what will be the effect? Kaikeyi, do you remember about the two? About the two? I don't know about the two. What two? When Dasharatha fought the Shambharasura Yuddham with Timidhwaja, you remember that day the charioteer had some health issue and he couldn't come to the Yuddham. So you became the charioteer for your king, for your husband. And in that Yuddham, the axle of the wheel broke. To support your husband fight in the chariot, you put your hand inside the place where the axle should be and supported the chariot. To commemorate this huge sacrifice and timely help you had done, your husband Dasharatha said, I will give you 2 boons. You did not know what to ask. You said, King, it is my duty to do so. But he said, no, you have to ask for 2 boons. She said, no, I will ask at a later date. You remember Kaikeyi, with the victory that your husband saw and the victory that you saw, you came back to Kekayar Rajyam to inform this event to your father. That time I overheard this. Kaikeyi has forgotten. Manthara is overhearing. Those 2 boons have you asked till now? No, Manthara, I have not asked. Ask those 2 boons. Manthara, if I ask those 2 boons, I will ask, I have no problem. But will Dasharatha give? What boons should I ask? First you give me clarity on that. Kaikeyi, the first boon should be that your son Bharata should become the heir apparent. But Manthara, Rama will be around, and if he looks at me with certain expressions, I will feel very bad. All these years I have been his mother. I will give you another idea, Kaikeyi. Send him to the forest for 14 years. You don't have to see him around at all. Manthara, do you think Dasharatha will ever agree to this? He will say that Raghukula Riti, the biggest Riti of Raghukulam is the first son has to be given the kingdom. How will he go against the rule? How will he go against the rule? Only if Bharata is made the king, can I send Rama to the forest? I don't think Rama will ever be sent to the forest. How can I even ask Dasharatha about this? Manthara said, Kaikeyi, your husband loves you. Yes, he does. But nothing can match the love what Dasharatha has towards Rama. What will I do? She tells, come here. Good idea, she goes. What is that idea? We will see tomorrow. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashalini Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave.
What a wonderful lecture this has been. I thank each one of you who has come, in despite of it being a working day and having so many commitments. Please spread the good word around and bring in more of your friends and family tomorrow. A big thanks to the trustees of Purandara Bhavan for the hall and the infrastructure. A big thanks to the Desikadaya Trust for organizing this wonderful lecture. To make a contribution towards the trust that is involved in so many activities, we have a donation box at the table outside. We also invite you to sponsor or donate towards the current program or the upcoming programs in November. Please get in touch with Mr. Subhash or any of the volunteers if you wish to sponsor. Thank you all once again for being here, and we hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.